Roy Miller, and many others. And today, we'll hear from Claude Humphrey. Claude Humphrey went to Tennessee State. Everyone discusses Tennessee State. They think of Too Tall Jones, number 1 overall pick back early in the 70s with the Cowboys. Claude Humphrey went to Tennessee State, was the 3rd overall pick in the first round in 1968. And his stories, we'll have him at 3:30, along with these high school segments we're about to play as well. And also today, Spencer Tillman played at Oklahoma. He was a captain on the national championship team. He was a captain on the 49ers Super Bowl team with that Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and all that when they won a Super Bowl, one of the many they've won. So he'll join us today at 4:30. Ishmael Johnson, editor for Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. He'll join us today at 5, and we are loaded up again today as well. But it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
It's great to have you back. And hopefully, again, every day is a better day. And we love you. We missed you, and glad to have you back. Now, a couple of notes in sports, and then we're going to get to high school football workouts. Craig's given me a couple of these things as well. Major League Baseball. It's like a ping pong ball, guys. From 162 games to 80-something to 110 or 14 to 82 to 81, and now baseball proposes 76. Guaranteeing players only 50% of their already prorated salaries for the regular season. You know what they need to do is lock the commissioner, all the owners, and all the player reps in one room with no food, no water, no bathroom, no anything. You can't leave until you come out of there with an agreement.
Or it can be one of those things. You remember the contest they used to do that they can't do on radio stations anymore, where they'd have people drink a bunch of water and then, the last person to go to the bat wins.
Well, Opie and Anthony kind of ruined all those skits when they had the couple having sex in a Catholic church in New York City, and that got them booted off radio.
But there was the hands. It needs to be like the hands on a van thing,
right? Where
back in the day, you would put your hand on a van or a truck, and the last person to keep their hand and keep leaning or touching the automobile won it. This needs to be the thing. So the last person, you just put all the proposals in the middle and have everybody just put their hand on the table, and then the last person to get up. We just take that one, so we have baseball.
I know what you mean about the water thing, too, because there was another radio contest. It wasn't Opie and Anthony, but it was the water drinking contest, and a guy died because he drank way too much water way too fast for probably, concert tickets or something like that. So, a lot of those bits are out the window. And I was looking over some of the details of this and reading some tweets from people who are far smarter than me, especially when it comes to numbers. I'm not good with numbers. I don't like math. I never have, but I do like reading people who do know what they're talking about. And there was a guy named Ron N. Caphill who was responding to the former pitcher Dan Herron on the latest contract layout, and he said, based on what he was reading, actually it's a 65% pay cut based on a 162-game MLB season and a full annual salary. 76 out of 162 equals 46.9%. 75% of 46.9% would be 35.2%. Therefore, a reduction of 64.8% of players' annual salary base. And then he compared it to a 50-game prorated season, and that would actually lead to more salary, about 4.3% more salary for players under that option. So this is like, oh, hey, it's new. This must be great. Actually, no. It's more of the same. So baseball is still plowing on through. Hey, we're not going to budge.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck.
NFL has sent memos. I saw a couple of things, protocols on opening up meetings and configuring the locker rooms and all that with a mass amount of players who are about to arrive. Conor McGregor, Craig, you're our big UFC guy. He announced over the weekend he was retiring again. Is this him just looking for a fight? Is this him looking for more money, or is he done because he's done this before?
Well, he's done this 3 times now. So we know the first 2 times he came back, and I would suspect that Conor's going to come back. I think he's got enough money to never fight again based on what he's already done in his career. I mean, he's made hundreds of millions of dollars for himself. He's got other side businesses now as a result. So I think money-wise he doesn't need to fight, but the UFC's in a really weird spot right now because there's been grumblings over the course of the last couple of years, ever since the UFC got bought by I forget the company now, but ever since they got bought, Dana's remained in control and all of that, but it hasn't quite been the boon financially, I think, for most of the fighters that maybe you thought that it would be, and in fact, maybe gave even Dana a little bit more control. And Dana's kind of the attitude where he's got Conor McGregor retiring, Jorge Masvidal, who was one of his biggest stars last year, is complaining about money. John Jones is complaining about the way negotiations have gone. So there's three massive fighters for you. Now they had a very it looked like it was a successful event over the weekend. Amanda Nunes is a tremendous fighter. She did her thing once again. But yeah, a lot of the top name guys seem to be having some negotiation issues with Dana White and the UFC, and he's been kind of the opinion of, okay, we'll see ya. Like, he doesn't seem to care all that much, so it'll be very interesting to see if these guys follow through or not. But, yeah, the UFC is just going to keep plugging along, even if their top stars aren't really seeing eye to eye.
I saw part of his press conference on social media last night, and he was basically, screw you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to make sure we go day to day, much less worried about whether these guys want to come back and fight. The Texas Sports Hall of Fame, a week ago tomorrow, we had that Zoom meeting with nearly 30 of us on the ballot committee, and they released the ballot. And there's names like a professional rodeo cowboy and Joe Beaver, Leroy Burrell, track and field, Mark Cuban, Phil Dawson, Donald Driver, former Texas basketball star Kami Etheridge, Priest Holmes, Michael Huff, lots of UT here. And there usually is Charlotte Jones Anderson, Derek Johnson from Waco High. He's been on the ballot before. Joe Lombard, girls basketball coach. Colt McCoy, Roy Oswalt, Carly Patterson, gymnast. Stacy Sikora, volleyball star from A&M. DeMarcus Ware's a new name. Wes Welker, Krista Williams, Sophia Young, who played at Baylor, and Sergey Zubov of the Dallas Stars. Those are the modern-day names. Get a ballot. You can go online, tshof.org, become a member, and vote. And what you basically do is you vote 1 to 20 as part of priority. The Veterans Committee.
No Sam Ellinger? I'm just kidding.
The veteran, not yet. Bob Beamon, Olympic star who shattered the jump record back in 1968. Robert Brazil, Cecil Cooper, Jose Cruz, Johnny Lamb Jones, Keith Moreland, Mike Renfro, who we had on the show, Johnny Rowland, Tracy Salonette Smith, Rosie Walker, who played at my alma mater at Stephen F. Austin, and also before that, junior college in Carthage at Panola, and Charlie Waters, who's been a part of our show as well. So that ballot is out. We'll vote. You can vote. Go to tshof.org to become a member and vote. Now, coming up next, high school athletes able to get back on campuses around the state of Texas. Kavian Gaither of Connolly, Shane Anderson and Don Hyde, two high school coaches, and also news from us on high school football season next on SicEm365 Radio. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. Every day there's something new. The locker rooms are open. The whirlpools and the saunas are now working, and I mean by that they're now available. And there's also even more to come as they have changed everything when it comes to when you walk through that front door. I've said this now for the last 7+ years when I've mentioned Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness and how it changed my life. How it completely changed my fitness and my how good a shape or my weight as well. All you have to do is walk through the front door. Walk through the front door. That's the best thing you can do. And there are machines and group exercise, 40+ group exercise classes every single week with various instructors. There's boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They are changing so much, your head's going to spin with all the new ideas. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Drive forward at Allen Samuels. Get big summertime values on new Jeeps, the vehicles of summer. Now get 0% for 72 months and no payments for 90 days on select Jeep models. Plus, the all-new Jeep Gladiator now features employee pricing for all. Shop safely in person or shop and buy online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Now, more than ever, your friend in the car business. Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Amelia's here taking pictures of where we've been since April the 6th, and you will, again, one day be able to see where our studios have been, our temporary studios. And so much great news over the weekend that we'll also continue to share with you. Claude Humphrey, Hall of Fame defensive lineman from the Falcons, and Tennessee State joins us at 3:30. Deontay Epps is here. Craig and Paul. I'm David Smoke. High school workouts. No matter what sport you are, you were able to go back on campuses today. Some still want to wait another week. Some want to be very slow with this, and that's fine. It's up to each school district, AD, whatever coach. But I was able to go to Connolly earlier today, and one of the best players last year and one of the best players this year, Kavian Gaither from Connolly, great quarterback a year ago. Remember, he also played defensive back. Shane Anderson still today says he was the best football player, the most valuable player in Central Texas a year ago. Had a chance to visit with the senior, Kavian Gaither, before, well, I guess in the middle of them working out this morning. KV and Gaither with me, Connolly High School, the cadets, and dozens of hundreds of schools around the state. Man, is this almost like Christmas morning, being able to get back out here and working out?
Yes, sir, it is. It's crazy, and I'm just glad to see all my brothers out here working. You know, all we're trying to do is just maintain and get back on the schedule.
Well, so what's it been like now that it's not, I guess things are over. You've been through the shutdown. You've been through you couldn't do this and do that. How was it with your teammates, and how was it with you during that time?
I think me and my teammates handled it well. You know, our coaches kept in contact with all of us, and they just made us sure that we were working out at home, just doing whatever we can so that we can be kind of ready for what's happening today.
So what's it like so far this morning? You guys have been out here for about an hour, a little bit less than an hour. You feel good? You feel like your fitness and cardio, and are you dying right now?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just hoping all my teammates are good, and if they're not, then we're just working. We're just trying to get better.
Right now there's no question that there's the high expectations. You have a very difficult non-district schedule with La Vega and Stephenville. Your thoughts about what you built last year? You ended the season 12-1, and what does it do to carry over to this year?
It carries a lot over. You know, we have some great leaders as our seniors. Our seniors leaded us all the way to 12-1. And this year we're just looking forward, and me being a senior, we're just looking forward to stepping up again. And with the non-district schedule, we're glad we have a non-district because it's only going to help us, and it's going to help us on the way getting our district championship.
Do you see in the younger players that they now understand what the standard needs to be, that what you guys are trying to set?
Yes, sir. Yes, we're setting the standard. We're trying to be the best leaders as we can possible, and that's how we looked up to many of those seniors from last year. And all we're trying to do is just be that type of leader group for them.
You guys have a lot of players back. You lose some key people, obviously, not just Javion, but others as well. Yeah. Just the setup and where you are as a team. And even it almost seems like this is August. It's almost like this is the first day of two-a-days or whatever those, but it's June, so there's still a long way to go. But just your thoughts about everything.
Yes, sir. I mean, everything is going good. There's going to be a couple people out of shape, and some people are going to be in the same shape as they were in December. We're just making sure we're trying to maintain, and we only got one goal, and that goal is to be the best out here.
Do you feel like I feel like almost like I'm out here and it's August, although it would be probably even hotter? Do you feel like it's almost like because of the long break and coming back?
Yes, sir. It does feel like August.
You want to go put the pads on right now, don't you?
Yes, sir, for sure.
No, you do. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man. Good luck. All right, that's KV and Gaither. Now, his head coach, Shane Anderson. They were 12-1 last year. They kept rolling until they ran into the eventual state champion. Then they lost to Gilmer. That's right, 35-20 in the third round of the playoffs. They were 12-0, lost to Gilmer. Their season ended. That has fed them throughout the offseason. Here's their head coach, Shane Anderson. Connolly football coach Shane Anderson with me. Is it like Christmas morning right now?
Yeah, it's very exciting just to have the opportunity to get the kids back on campus and be around each other, and get back to work. That's what it's all about.
This kind of reminds me, because it was such a long break, that this would almost be like that first day in August, of those first practices in the fall. It's not as hot, but doesn't it almost have that feeling to you?
Yeah, there's no doubt. It was hard sleeping last night. You're trying to wrap your brain around everything. We've had a bunch of meetings to plan all this, and just like you said, like fall camp. And we spent a lot of time, put a lot of effort into it, and it was hard to sleep last night and exciting to get up this morning. I think I woke up about 4:30 this morning and ready to go.
I did see one young man take a trip over to the trash can, because I'm sure that there are some guys that maybe aren't as good a shape as others. But for the most part, did everyone come back, you think, so far? You like what you see?
Yeah, we're trying to be very cautious of how we're doing this thing and giving them plenty of rest time. And the first thing we talked about this morning was quality reps. We want our kids, you're going to just treat it just like a game. Every rep you get, you're going to go as hard as you can, and then you're going to have plenty of time to rest and get a full recovery. So, I'm sure some of them will struggle through it. We're about halfway through right now, and, I think everybody's holding up pretty good. I think the ones that will be struggling is the coaches come tomorrow.
You guys will be the one that's sore. How the players, have they come back and how they have responded this first day?
Yeah, I think if you just had to say 100% attendance, all our varsity kids are here. The guys we're counting on winning games with on Friday night, they're here and they're accounted for, and they're working. And, they were the first ones here, and they'll be the last ones to leave, just like what we want. Our numbers are great. We had a junior high session this morning with 7th and 8th graders. We had 53 in that one, and then I think we got 108 or 109 in this session. So we were planning on 10 groups of 10, and we ended up having to come up with 11th group. So
How much does it help to come off the year you had? I know you wanted to go deeper, but to go 12-1 and set some standards, how much did that help you think in the excitement of people wanting to join your program?
Oh, I think it means everything. I think that's part of building a program. Like we've talked about before, there's steps you have to take, and once you start winning, it's just like that movie said, if you build it, they will come. And, the kids are here. They're excited. The next step for us is to get prepared to play, one of the toughest non-district schedules in the state. And we know, we talked about it this morning. All 5 teams in that non-district schedule were 4A Division I's. One of them in La Vega played for a state championship. Springtown was in the semifinals, got beat by La Vega, and then we're going to have to go to Stephenville, Texas, and play the Yellow Jackets, and they're always going to, be a top program in the state.
You did have the move-in with Tyler Webb. How does that work here with what you're doing?
We're excited to have Tyler. His dad's going to be on our coaching staff, and his brother Ryan will be in our program as well, and so we're excited that they're here, and I think he's going to get in here and compete and be a great leader and a great kid that he is, and that he's been everywhere he's been. And, we're just excited that he's a part of our program.
That's Shane Anderson, the head football coach at Conley. You heard from Kavian Gaither. We'll hear from Don Hyde in just a second from La Vega. Now, we, SicEm365 Radio, Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke, we will broadcast Conley Cadets football in 2020. 12-1 last year. They have a very difficult non-district schedule, as you just heard from Kavian and also Shane Anderson. They have La Vega again, Stephenville, Springtown, who lost to La Vega in the semifinals. And so we will broadcast Conley Cadets football on SicEm365 Radio, on our app brought to you by Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, and on 106.7 FM, The Eagle, KIXT, on the radio in Waco, Texas.
I'm looking forward to it.
Boom.
New challenge. Exciting.
I'm pumped up. I'm glad that Connolly was right out of the gates on, they could have, maybe said, no, we'll stick with what we're doing. But Shane Anderson, to his credit, he saw the opportunity, and he knows what we can do as far as broadcasts go in high school football. I really don't think that there's many across Texas, if any, that have better broadcasts than us as far as high school football goes on the radio. So, to have him be so gung-ho about it and Connolly to be fired up about it, we're fired up about it, and, I look forward to it.
I'll say it right now. And Smokey, would you say I'm prone to bravado?
No.
You've known me for 10 years.
No.
The three of us, and I have no problem saying this, and I'll say it to anybody, we're the best high school broadcast team on the radio in the state of Texas. Maybe in the country. I don't know the other 50 states, but nobody does a better job than we do. Nobody puts as much effort into it as we do. And I don't say I'm the best at a lot of things because I'm not, but I know that we're the best at this.
I'd agree with that.
Well,
and I'm not a big hyperbole guy either.
I love broadcasting high school football, and we have enjoyed and loved the time we had with Midway. Thanks to Brad Shelton, Jeff Human, before that, Terry Gamble. It's just something we do. And today, we're going to have Don Hyde in a minute. We're going to have Tristan Abram from Mahia. This is what we do. And this is what Brian and Ashley and Colt knew, that when we started this, once high school got back together, when they started doing this again, we're going to have high school coaches and players, and we're going to have a lot of them. And today is just the first of those days to come. So thanks to SicEm365 Radio, Connolly ISD, the cadets. Thanks to Shane Anderson and the superintendent and everyone there at the school district, and also to Hector and JC at 106.7 FM, KIXT, the Eagle, with Prophecy Radio, for also saying, hey, we want this too. Mm-hmm. And they got it. Here's La Vega head football coach Don Hyde. On this first day of the UIL allowing players and coaches to have conditioning workouts and some individual drills, what's this like, man?
Getting the kids out here and getting after the fun part. The hard part was planning for this and making sure you've met all the criteria the UIL wanted and then the additional criteria that our district wanted. And so, it's a different process than what we're normally used to, but it's well worth it.
I've been to a couple other places today. Is this almost in a way because of the long layoff, like the first day in August in any way, shape, or form?
I think it's harder, from a standpoint of, normally we have our kids all the way through the end of May, then we kick off summer workouts. So, they don't have much of a time off. And, some of these kids haven't done anything in a couple of months. So this is going to be difficult.
You can tell who's probably done something, right? And that's what you're trying to get them where they need to be.
Sure, we're just trying to get them. We're just trying to get them back in shape. You know, I told them before we started, do what you can do. If you get tired, take a break. You know, and that's the whole deal. I mean, we're not trying to kill them today. We're trying to get them. We're trying to gradually work them back into playing shape, and then, you know, concentrate on some other things. We're not going to do any skills today. We're going to do this workout, and we're going to get out of here.
They're as excited. I know that this is hard. I mean, you know, you and I understand what they're going through as well. But don't you think they're just excited to be together as a team again?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, we had kids. We told our kids check-in wouldn't take place till 9:25, and I had a kid show up at 7:15 this morning. I mean, and I couldn't even open the gate to let him in because the protocol we got in place. But yeah, I mean, kids are excited. They're ready to go just like we're ready to go. You know, the thing about this place is we love our kids and our kids love us, and not being around them for 2 months is difficult.
How difficult was it, Don? Because I know how much you love the kids.
Difficult. I've got grown kids that are gone and not in the house anymore, and so these are my kids. I see them every day, you know, and just not to be around them and not to be a part of their life for 2 months was difficult.
That's Don Hyde. They ran all the way again. They won the state title. Remember, 15, then 2 years ago, then last year lost to Carthage in the state championship game and loaded up for another year with the Pirates at La Vega. We'll hear from Hall of Famer Claude Humphrey here momentarily. Also Spencer Tillman today at 4:30. And we'll hear from Tristan Abram, the head coach at Mejia, who took Paul Pewitt to the edge of a state championship up in the northeast Texas area. He'll join us today at 4 o'clock. We're now joined by Hall of Famer Claude Humphrey with us on SicEm365 Radio. Claude, thank you so much for being a part of the show. How have you been? What have you been pretty much quiet? Have you been what have you been doing?
Well, I've been, like you said, quiet. I've been housebound for the last 6 weeks, ever since the first rumor of the virus. So I've been just inside. I'm old, and I got all the ailments that you have when the virus will hurt you the most.
What's been the thing you've done to keep yourself entertained since you can't go out and get out amongst the people?
The NFL Network and talking to friends.
Claude Humphrey, yeah. Well, without them, I mean, who are we, right? Without the friends. And the NFL Network, they've been replaying games. And when you look at the NFL, today, the way the game is played, and obviously this year a new champion with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid in Kansas City. It's different than when you played. Everyone's different, but the way they allow you to play the game is different. Your thoughts about the way the game is played today?
Well, I think that if I could have played during this time the way they play now, I could have been all world. It's they took out the double team. They took out the chop blocks. They took the head slap out for me. So, but just playing the way that they play now, it's a totally different game. It's not even the same game of football that we played, but I enjoy watching it. I do enjoy it. I enjoy watching the young guys come in and develop their skills and all that, but it's not the same game that I played.
Well, sacks weren't an official statistic when you were playing. So not only that, you would have had a stat to be able to get you some more money, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I played 13 years, and shoot, in the 13 years that I played, I didn't make as much as some of these guys make in 1 year. So, all told, it's like I said, it's a different game, and I don't think the kids put as much into the game as we did, because back in my day, you had to play when you were hurt. And now if they get any kind of injury, a toenail, a hangnail, they're on the sideline under the tent. So, it's a totally different game, like I said, and it's not the same game that I played.
Do you have things that are and you haven't played, it's been a while, but do you have parts of your body that still ache from playing the game?
Absolutely. I'm sitting here right now rubbing my knee. Absolutely. Absolutely. I got a index finger that I can't close all the way. You know, I got all kind of little injuries. In the morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is check myself to see where I'm gonna hurt today.
Yep.
It's different.
Your teammate, your former, you guys put together a tandem with the Falcons. John Zook passed away recently. He was 72 years old. Your recollections and memories of John Zook.
I'm glad you asked me that because, you know, I called him Bull. We got together and just combined to be a great pair of pass rushers. And the thing of it is that working with him made me better. And it was a great tandem that we had. We both of us went to the Pro Bowl, just getting together. He was a hell of a player, and he doesn't get all the recognition that he really deserved because of the kind of player that he was. He ran from time the whistle blow until they blew again to stop the play. He was always there. And he was just, and he was a good person. You know, you wouldn't think that a guy from Kansas would be as nice as he was. He didn't hang out and do all that stuff. Now, he had a beard too. But, you know, he was a great guy. He, all in all, I don't think I played with anybody any nicer or any better guy than John Zook was.
Claude Humphrey, Hall of Famer, with us on SicEm365 Radio. You were up for the Hall of Fame on more than one occasion, and we've spoken to others who had to wait their turn. What did it mean to you when you finally were told you would get in?
Yeah. Well, actually, I wasn't told I would get in. You know, the way they used to do the Hall of Fame was a little bit different from the way they do it now. They used to have you stand by the phone, and you know, if you made it, they'll call you and tell you. If you didn't, you don't hear anything until you heard it on the news. So, you know, the year that I went in, they had everybody come into New York and sit up in the hotel and wait for the news of whether you made it or not, which was a little different from the way it was originally. Originally, I sit at home and waited, and then I turned on the 6 o'clock news, and I didn't make it. You know, so it was a real traumatic experience for me to have to wait around, and I did so many times that I had, at the end, I just believed that I wasn't going to make it. And then I took the little caption, you know, I'm the best player that never made the Hall of Fame. And I can live with that.
So the fact that you're in, did it make it more, even more sweet or sweeter than you had to wait so many times? Did it make it more sweet that you got in?
Well, yeah. The only thing about it is that my wife had passed away the year before I got in, and you know, the fact that she had been at my side all those years, and we had worked together and played together, and just everything. You know, I mean, she was my world, and you know, she wasn't there to be there with me to celebrate. That was what, you know, it was hard. It was hard. It could have, had she been around, it could have been a better experience for me. But you know, I had to do it alone. But I know she was pull it from me from heaven. I think that's the reason that I got in, is because she got up there and bent God's ear to the side. so I think that he straightened everything out and allowed me to get in.
What does it mean to you to be one of the great players in the Falcons' history and one of their first big-time players that really made it in the league and helped that team grow?
Well, as a player, you don't look at things quite like that. You every year you're looking to get better. Every year you work during the off season, and you do all this stuff to make yourself better. You don't think about that you are a big time player or anything like that. All that stuff comes years later, that you look back on the game and kind of admire yourself. But during the time that you're playing, you just don't do that. You don't have that kind of attitude about the game. All you think about is when waiting on the schedule to come out and looking on the schedule to see who you got to play against and start studying and to get ready to play against them. So, it was a little bit different.
Wanted to point out that although sacks weren't an official NFL statistic until Claude retired, he is credited with 122 career sacks according to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Claude, I read that you would have had a lot more if Fran Tarkenton wasn't such a bee in your bonnet. He was a guy that gave you a few fits, huh?
He ran around. He ran around, but that's just the way it was. So, he run away from me and come around there and do a little old wiggle and try to slip away. But it was cool. I tell you what, though, the stats that they have for me are really not the real stats, because in one of the years, and I think it was 77 or 78, one of those years, I had 18 sacks. But the Falcon only recognized 14 sacks for that year. And then another year I had 16. And they say my sack total was 14, which is crazy, because there was 2 years where I had way more than 14 sacks. So those 122 sacks was just a number. I don't have no idea what they based that on. They sure didn't base it on the number of sacks that I truly had. It was, it's just something that they came up with.
You look at the history of Tennessee State, and Claude Humphrey, Joe Gillum, obviously Ed Too Tall Jones, a school that produced, like Jackson State with Walter Payton, or other historically black colleges and universities, Grambling, unbelievable talent, Mississippi Valley State, Jerry Rice. Can you kind of explain back in the day how good those teams were and how deep with talent they were, because you didn't have as many opportunities as players do today?
Well, I think the players played as well as any years, but the thing about it was that we didn't get any recognition.
Yep.
We wasn't on ESPN and Saturday Night Live football and all that. Nobody. The only people who really got a chance to study us was the pro scouts when they came around to look at the film. And they would sit in there and look at the film, and they would rate us. But they rated us against guys who were on our level. Once I got out of Tennessee State and got to meeting guys in college playing in all the All-Star games and stuff, I'm saying those guys Nebraska, those guys in Indiana, yeah, they wasn't as good as we were. Some of the guys that I played against were a hell of a lot better players than some of those guys that were rated and sent there to the Hall of Fame games and stuff. They were that caliber of football player. There were a lot of players playing in the in the SWAC and the Missouri Valley Conference and all that. Those players were just as good.
Claude, last question for you. You grew up in a time, in fact, your year you were drafted, 1968, was the year that Martin Luther King was assassinated. It was during a very troublesome time in America. And here we are, 50 years later, 52 years later, and we see what is going on in America today, and there's still so much uneducated, so many people that have their heads buried in the sand. When you see what's happening today, how do you look at it, and your thoughts or some sort of at least advice to everybody?
Well, my advice to everybody is that it takes individuals to change things, and you got to get out there and let your voice be heard. And when I came along and went to Atlanta, Atlanta was the worst place in the world probably for me, because there was prejudice everywhere. It's not even the same Atlanta today as it was back then. And we didn't get a chance to march as much, to do the things that these kids are doing now. We wasn't exposed to a lot of stuff, and it's hard. It's hard for me to compare, because it was a lot tougher back then than it is now, even with all the racial divide that is going on. It was a lot tougher back then than these people could ever imagine. If you were going to ride because of the way you were treated, shoot, it would never, nothing could ever have happened. Racism was at its peak back then, and it was hard. It was hard to be in Georgia. You know what?
You're a class. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I grew up in Tennessee, so it wasn't like I wasn't used to being treated that way. But when you get to be a grown man and you're treated like that, it's a little different. It's hard to get along. It's hard to imagine how racially divided, excuse me, Georgia was at the time. I ran into a lot of racism, but you just have to keep on going. You have to keep on pushing. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in that. That, as far as I was concerned, there wasn't anything that I could do to change it. So, we just kind of went on with it.
Claude, you're a class act. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you for being patient with me reaching out to you, and also we wish you the very best. Stay safe, and I hope that one day, if you're ever again out and that we get back to normalcy, and I'm in Atlanta or wherever we are, if you're at a Super Bowl Radio Row, if you're ever asked to be a guest, let me know. We'd love to have you on again, and thank you for your time.
No problem. Nice talking to you, and everybody stay safe.
That's Claude Humphrey, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Stats probably are off quite a bit as far as how many sacks that he had.
It's ridiculous. He had just double digits every year.
Yeah.
14 and a half, 15 and a half. And like you said, they weren't even keeping them that straight back then. It wasn't even official statistics, so that's all in hindsight. So he's probably right. He probably had far more than he was actually given credit for. And I was reading through his Hall of Fame speech and just some things about him, and there was a couple of stories in particular that I really love. There were more than that, but him first discovering football, he said that his mom called him in, said that she needed him to go down to the store and get some baking powder and cornmeal. So he's like, yes, ma'am, got the money. And he went and, I guess, had to walk across the local high school there in Memphis. And as he was crossing the campus to go get the baking soda and the cornmeal, he saw a bunch of guys out running around. They're, like, tackling each other and falling down. And he stopped, and he was looking around, and he's like, I'm running an errand. I got to go do that. And he came back, and somebody asked him if he would like to play. And, that's how his football journey started. He didn't know what football was when he first saw it. He just saw a bunch of guys out, tackling each other and whatnot. But that's cool that moment ends up turning into a Hall of Fame career and, all of that. And I also loved that, his late wife that he was talking about, who very clearly meant a great deal to him. He had mentioned her in his Hall of Fame speech and how she was not there to be able to take part in that, but he did relay the story of how they first met and how she was the one that came up to him and said, hey, I want to meet you, and they just took off from there. And I just love little stories like that, and what a great guy and a great guy to talk to.
Love talking to him, and when he was so nice when he contacted me, and he goes, okay, now you just make sure you call me, and he was just, you can hear him. It's a deep man right there, and a sweet man as well, but a phenomenal player. Tennessee State, think about it. Ed Too Tall Jones, the overall number 1 pick, what was it, like in 74, whatever it was. He in 68 was number 3. And Joe Gilliam was broke the color barrier when it comes to being a quarterback with the Steelers. And so awesome stories about Tennessee State. All right, a couple of notes here. We'll come back and wrap it up in just a second. Blake Anderson, the head football coach at Arkansas State, who's from Hubbard, Texas, and also has been at Baylor, is going to join us today at 5:30. We just added that segment. You talk about a man who's been through a lot, lost his wife to cancer, lost his father recently. He is an inspiration, a motivational speaker, hell of a football coach. He'll join us today at 5:30. This is SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI. What a place it is. A place that can help you save hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars when it comes to health care with an MRI you need for something that is not just sore or bothersome, but something that might be broken, might be torn, and might be, shredded. Whether it's a rotator cuff or a broken bone, your doctor, if you ask them about Ideal MRI, will say, yes, that's a great place to go. Because healthcare, of course, can be very expensive. Ideal MRI is helping lower the cost of an MRI for you. Hundreds of dollars. In fact, sometimes, as I mentioned, thousands of dollars. They have state-of-the-art technology. The MRIs that they have, just like a hospital, I've had one done there. It was unbelievable. And I'm also telling you this, the machine is just like the one you would go see at any particular, as I said, healthcare. It's a monster of a machine in the Central Texas marketplace. State-of-the-art. They, again, have great techs, specialists, doctors, and more. You'll love the experience. No hidden cost. And all you have to do is go online if you want to schedule an MRI, idealmri.com, idealmri.com, or you can call them, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
This is Waco, And this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, there's one note we didn't have at the start of the show. There's a couple of them, and Greg has another one coming up at 4 o'clock. Tristan Abram, the head coach at Mejia last year. He was at Paul Pewitt. Jared Williams. This is a punch in the gut to Baylor. Played at Cedar Hill High School, University of Houston, would have been a graduate transfer, offensive lineman. They need that. Yesterday announced he's committed and he's transferring to the University of Miami. And the De'Ara King connection's huge right there. Former teammate who's now the quarterback and will be the quarterback at Miami. You kind of had a feeling that was probably what tugged him. He really struggled with this, but he announced he's going to Miami. That's a tough punch in the gut for Baylor.
Yeah, it's a punch in the gut for anybody who's a fan of a school that has to play Miami too.
Yeah, I'm not real high on Miami, but I am with De'Ara King. Yeah. I think that he makes all the difference in the world, and now you add a big offensive lineman who he's familiar with, who's used to blocking for him and knows what he does and how he moves. I think that's, two big gets for Miami.
The SMU offensive coordinator, whose name is I'm blanking.
Oh yeah, Lashley.
Yeah,
right?
Is down there now too.
Yeah,
so.
Rhett Lashley, right?
Rhett Lashley, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good pickup for them. It's a loss for Baylor, and the good news is that they still, can go out there and pick up a guy. He may not be as good as Williams. Who knows? He might turn out to be better. We kind of have to wait and see on that. But yeah, it's somebody that they wanted that they're not getting, and so it's back to the drawing board a little bit.
So that's that. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
A million notes.
I know. Well,
Angel Hernandez.
That's right. That's the one.
I don't know if there's a single person in the world, even in the Hernandez family, that like Angel Hernandez. He's just not a good dude, and he's an even worse umpire. Oh, well, maybe not. He might be a worse person than an umpire, but he's a pretty bad umpire. Well, Major League Baseball has not really been able to do anything about his shenanigans. He's basically been able to roam free, act however he wants to, because he's suing them. And so they are unable to fire him. They can't get rid of him, even though everybody knows what a terrible ump he is. Well, MLB may have something that they can finally go after. They claim that he eavesdropped last July on a league investigative call, which is a huge no-no. And also, it was laid out that, let's see here, Joe Torre, in addition to the phone call, Joe Torre is now, I guess, he testified that there were several instances where Hernandez got calls wrong over the course of the last few seasons. For example, acting as their interim crew chief in 2012, Hernandez violated MLB rules by asking Homer Bailey, who had pitched a no-hitter, to autograph 11 baseballs for himself and his crew. He overturned 3 calls by replay in the first 4 innings of a 2018 playoff game between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Torre testified he observed Hernandez in another game throwing his headset after having his call overturned on instant replay. He allegedly refused to change his mind on a replay decision from a 2013 Cleveland game. Torre wrote that the umpire still insists during his annual reviews that his call upholding a double high off the wall rather than a home run was solid, and basically just outlined all of these wrong moves that he made. And so maybe, just maybe, if there is some good news for baseball, you can get rid of Angel Hernandez.
The 2018 game was funny because it was the one moment in history, because those 3 calls, he blew calls on both sides, and the Yankees and the Red Sox and all their fans were united in one thing. Nobody likes this guy. Nobody likes this guy right now. What are you trying to do in this game? Yeah, I remember that very well.
Yeah, no question about it. And he kind of knows he was protected for things he thought and whatever. So that doesn't look good for him. We'll see what happens, though. Coming up next, the 4 o'clock hour, Tristan Abram, the head coach, first year at Mejia. 4:30, Spencer Tillman won a national title in college football, a Super Bowl with the 49ers. This is SicEm 365 Radio.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Hi, this is Ray Miles, head football coach at Lorena High School, and you're listening to SicEm 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
SicEm 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at IdealMRI.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
And it's Brewer keeping it to the outside. Brewer lays the shoulder, dive, touchdown, Bears.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour at 4:30, Spencer Tillman. At 5 o'clock today, Ishmael Johnson, one of the editors for Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, and he mainly wrote about the 2A, 3A, 4A schools. We had Shane Anderson on earlier from Conley, 4A Division II, Don Hyde from La Vega, 4A Division I, and, of course, Kavian Gaither, the quarterback at Conley as well. And Tristan Abram, the first-year head coach at Mejia, this guy's a rising star in the high school coaching ranks, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. It's going to be hard now. I mean, I just set you up. You cannot have anything better than that, right?
I was about to say, man, easy on your words, brother. I don't want to have to live up to that right now. But I really appreciate it.
Well, you really are, though. I mean, I remember when you took over Paul Pewitt. That's been a traditional Rich program. What you did in a hurry there. You moved to Mejia. Your thoughts about Mejia? Frank Sandoval kind of set the table for you. What was, first of all, the intrigue of Mejia, and what brought you there in the first place?
Man, it was really one of those situations that I wasn't looking to get here, and just by the grace of God, I ended up here, and I'll tell you this, getting to be around these kids today has even shined more light on why I'm here. Of course, athleticism is a plus, but we have some great kids here in Mejia, Texas. And the work ethic that I saw out of them today, and just the town and the community around here, it's been phenomenal. And the welcome, even in the midst of this COVID situation, has been great. And, man, this is a great place to be.
You did start today. I was at Conley and I was at La Vega, and I mentioned that there are hundreds of programs, over 1,200 or so, for the most part, that started today. What was today like? Because I compared it, Tristan, because of the long layoff, to what it would be like the first day of workouts in August when you started what would be called 2-a-days. Did it have some sort of same theme to you?
Hey, man, I'll tell you, this is how crazy it was. I talked to a few of our coaches earlier, and for us, it was like the night before 2-a-days trying to get sleep. I woke up. I woke up at 5 this morning and basically just came on in. Because I'm telling you, that's how exciting it was just to be able to get back in the midst of these kids physically, because you can only Zoom so much, or you can only send so many texts, or hold so many conversations via phone or whatever. But to be able to get in their presence and to start, formulating that relationship with them, because I was here 5 days prior to the schools getting shut down, and it has been, honestly, it's been miserable because I want to be around the kids, and in the process of all those things taking place, to be able to see them today and to be able to be around them today, and man, you talk about draining every drop out of the minutes that we could get in. That were set for us. We did that, and I'm excited about the effort that was given today. And the statement to them was, hey, I know a few of you guys have been working out on your own, and that's great, and I definitely appreciate it. But your level of workout and our level of workout are two totally different levels of workout. And once they understand how to work at the pace and at the level that we have planned for them, there's about to be even greater things that take place in Mejia, Texas.
So only 5 days before you had to not see them in person for a long time, and I'm sure you've done some stuff over Zoom and whatnot. But is it that make it a little harder to start these workouts with getting everybody's name right and everything like that?
See, you put me on the spot. I'm going to tell you right now. There are a few of them I'm like, hey, what's your name again? And what's crazy is whenever I got here, and again, I've been here maybe 2 to 3 weeks, and they have been around me only 5 days. And one of our players, it was his birthday, so I called him and told him happy birthday. And during the conversation, his statement was, "Hey, coach." His statement was, "So, hey, are you the new guy? Or you the coach that I met?" So I'm talking to one of our players. He has no clue who I am. But that's just that battle you had to fight with COVID and not being able to be around the kids. But man, yes, it was great to be around them and to be able to start putting some faces back with names and get that part figured out as well.
Tristan, we talk about Baylor football quite a bit on this show, and one of the things that Dave Aranda said when taking over for Matt Rule was a big part of what they don't have to worry about is establishing the culture, that the culture was already in place. Is that the case with what Frank Sandoval was able to do, and how much easier in a way does that make your job that you're not starting from scratch and having to establish work ethic and things of that nature?
You're exactly right. And you hit the nail on the head with the work ethic, or the phrase work ethic. These kids know how to work. And that's what I saw whenever, again, that 5 days that I was here, and then coming back into this after the long break that we had, they hadn't lost that work ethic. Now, obviously, there's some fatigue issues and things like that, but they know how to work. And the previous staff, Coach Sandoval, and those guys that are still here, and a few left and went with Frank. But they did a phenomenal job of getting the culture where it needed to be in order to set us up to be extremely successful. I expect for us to do some great things here, not just this year, but for a long time. And a lot of it has to do with the groundwork that has already been laid, and the foundation that's been laid in what we're doing.
You have experienced a state championship. From a year ago, you lost to Gunner in the final, 43-22. You guys made a great run. But you also experienced that when you were at Sulphur Springs and that dynamic team with Tyreek Rollison. That was an explosive team. How much does that being a part of your blood help you as a coach?
Well, it's something that you get to talk about to the kids. You get to talk about the memories that you have. You get to paint this picture that you were able to experience. You get to paint this picture, and you kind of dangle that carrot out there because you want it to be something that could possibly become tangible for them. Well, I think that if you've never been there, then it's hard to paint that picture, and it's hard to be able to talk about the things that you've done, because the things that I've been blessed to be a part of, those state championship runs, are just things that, to me, I can express to these kids and tell them, hey man, you get to do this and this, and to get on that field and to be a part of this atmosphere. And those types of things are things that you can just kind of persuade them, I guess, is a pretty good word to use, to give a little bit more effort whenever they may be feeling fatigued. And from a coaching standpoint, we try to do whatever we can to get the most out of them that we can. And that's just something that I'm able to present to them and to tell stories. And heck, I've been known to throw an old DVD in there at times to show that state championship run with Sulphur Springs. And I'm not afraid to show the state championship game this year with you. We came up short, but man, just to be there and to be able to experience that, so many people want to play on that stage and never, ever have the opportunity to do so. So why not do everything we can to get there, to give yourself that opportunity, and let's see what way the ball goes once we get there.
Tristan Abram, the head coach at Mexia, with us on SicEm365 Radio. As you also know, Tristan, not only did you have to deal with the COVID that shut things down, now in today's America, there's a lot going on with racial divide and what's happened with George Floyd, who's buried tomorrow. How have you addressed that with your student athletes during the last couple of weeks, or today as well?
Well, today was really one day that that we talked about it, and with the way things are going in our society across our nation, we're broken. We're hurting, and there's no doubt in any of that. But what an opportunity for us as coaches and educators, and to be able to influence young people, to try to show them or explain to them how to protest in a positive manner, how to go about doing things the right way so that you are heard, and how to express your feelings about things, and to be flat out honest with you, let's discuss that elephant in the room, and those are things that sometimes we're not exposed to that, and we're not taught how to do those things growing up, because it's so easy to brush something to the side, or so easy to look over something. Well, gentlemen, this isn't something that we can look over. These are issues that are, unfortunately, as a nation, we've been plagued with. But man, I feel blessed to be in the position to be able to discuss these things with young people and allow them to speak their heart, and know that there is no judgment passed, and try to help them through this situation, no matter how you feel, so that we can move forward as a society, and get past the division and do what we were created to do, which was love one another.
You as a coach, and you know this from your time at Paul Pewitt, I'm annoying as hell because I want you guys to.
I will also verify.
You see how he giggled? I have this online form. I know I have this online form that I absolutely will hunt down the very last coach that doesn't do it. But you did yours.
You are exactly right.
But the reason I do that is it kind of sets us up. We know, about a little bit about your team. I knew about you. You and I have known each other for a long time. I knew you were going to be on the campus at Mexia, maybe before some of the people at Mexia, right? But
I think there may have been a text or something that went out.
Yeah, but I kept that, and I did. I never said a word about it.
You did.
But you
did a great job. I appreciate it.
Trey Holdman, Wiley, the running back, Lamarion Miller. These guys can go. These are talented young men. Can you? Yeah, go ahead and explain that.
Oh my man, good Lord! I think that was a 30-minute conversation today, because today during our skill work session we worked some offense, and to see these guys, you're right, man. To see Wiley, to see Holman, to see Miller, to see Busby. I mean, the list goes on and on about these kids. I mean, we got size, we got speed, man. Christian, oh my goodness, good luck trying to cover that guy. I mean, we have guys everywhere that I'm so excited to be able to be around them and to be in their presence. But what's even more impressive is those great young men. That to me just is what's better than the athleticism. Thank God for the athleticism, but to be able to be around great young men and to try to help them or help direct their path and their future that's what's fun about this, and knowing that they're going to be successful, not just on Friday night, but in any other endeavor that they're going to encounter. This is really exciting, and I know that I know that they're fixing to make not only their families but this community extremely proud.
Tristan, good luck, man. Thank you. It's a great hire from Mexia. Frank Sandoval did a great job. And I know what you're going to accomplish, and with the players you have and with your passion as well. Thank you for your time. That's Tristan Abram, the head coach at Mexia, the Black Cats. And some great history there. State championship, what was it, 89?
And they used to have an excellent radio guy. I mean, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was Wright. Is that
Bob Wright?
Paul did Mexia, but Doug Gentry, who went on to play at Purdue, among many others at Mexia. Good luck to Mexia. Thanks to Tristan Abram for being a part of the show. That guy can flat out coach.
I love seeing what Frank Sandoval did with that program. When I first arrived here, 7 or so years ago now, they weren't one of the standout programs per se in Central Texas, but they have been, one of those teams to definitely watch and can compete with, most out there these last couple of years. So I think Tristan brings an incredibly impressive resume. You can hear the energy and excitement in his voice, and sounds like a guy that, they'll want to play for. And he's got some experience, obviously. I mean, he ran down all of the places he's been where they've had success, Pewitt and Sulphur Springs. So, I'm very much looking forward to what the Black Cats can do, and they do have some very good players coming back.
No question about it. That's Tristan Abram coming up. A couple of notes here as we continue this 4 o'clock hour. Former Oklahoma captain on their 87 national championship team, captain on the 49ers championship team that hammered the Chargers. They'll join us. He'll join us at 4:30. At 5 o'clock, Ishmael Johnson, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, and Arkansas State head coach Blake Anderson at 5:30, SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr Motors is overloaded with used cars and trucks. With over 100 in stock, Richard Carr has a lot of work to do to move these pre-owned vehicles now. If you're in the market for a truck, they've got 25 used trucks in stock, all at discounted prices. Or perhaps you're looking for, like a crossover SUV, for example. Well, if you are, and you want one that's got a quiet ride and nice roomy interior, safety features, the latest technology, they can get you in the Buick Encore for only $19,900. You can save $6,000 right now on a 2020 Buick Encore. And as I've been saying, since we launched this radio station with Richard Carr, they have great prices. They also have free oil changes with a new purchase and the in-town priority warranty service that all comes with your purchase at Richard Carr GMC Buick Cadillac. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni that wants the chance to earn your business. They have the daily disinfected showroom you can stop by, and you can see their safety-focused staff, or they continue to bring the test drive to your home if you prefer that. Your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We are open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on SicEm365.com.
This 4 o'clock hour continues. We'll have Spencer Tillman momentarily. Spencer Tillman's an amazing story. He's a Fox Sports college football analyst, tremendous player, came out of Tulsa Edison High School, went to OU under the Barry Switzer years, and then played under Bill Walsh and company with the 49ers through George Seifert, then spent a couple of years with the Oilers, who he started his career with back in 1987. He's an entrepreneur. He'll join us today at 4:30, just around the corner. We mentioned Jared Williams. We mentioned baseball. We mentioned Angel Hernandez. We mentioned quite a bit. And also thanks to, again, Amelia. She's taking pictures to make it look like we're at the Taj Mahal.
She's gonna edit out all the stuff that, makes it look like we are where we are.
Deontay is making us sound better. Which thank God he does, because he does something with the logistics of the technology. I don't know what he's doing, but appreciate Deontay. And I got his Twitter handle. Finally, it's been 5 weeks, 6 weeks, or whatever. Johnny Depp's takes the right steps. That's I finally got that right.
Just remember Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
You'll figure out the rest.
Do you get royalties if I say your name and Johnny Depp at the same time? Isn't that what you want?
I think Johnny Depp probably gets royalties for that somehow or another. I did want to make mention that we are officially 1 week away from Baylor football returning to practices, along with most of the rest of the Big 12. Of the 10 teams that have announced their return dates so far, Oklahoma will start later. They're going to be on July the 1st. Iowa State apparently has not yet announced a firm return date, or at least not one that I have seen, but the other 8 teams outside of those two all set for a week from today. So we're talking about high school football today. We've seen some of the colleges bringing guys back and getting used to that. We've seen some of the positive COVID tests already that have occurred. But, just a reminder, 1 week away from being able to have some more Baylor football stuff to talk about, Big 12 stuff to talk about with these players returning. And I don't know what our access is going to be like, anytime soon, just because of everything that's going on. But certainly it will provide a little more oomph to the lead into the season to at least have this, because there was a time where we didn't even know if this was going to even be happening. So it's amazing what's occurred over the last couple of months.
So much going on, and one of the things that happened today, Texas high school football, they started workouts along with the other sports, the fall sports at high school campuses. College, as you mentioned, basically you're starting to see that sprout. We're now joined by college football national champion, also by Pro Football Super Bowl champion. He's an entrepreneur and also college analyst for Fox Sports. Spencer Tillman joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Man, you are, you know what? You're successful in so many things you do. When did you learn about everything basically you've been taught? Who was it? Your father? Who was that?
All of the above. Mom, Dad. Mom was a missionary. Father, passed last year, did a lot of different things, raised in East Texas in the Longview area. Really was a quiet man, but missed one day of work in 55 years of professional life, and really taught us work ethic. So it came from family, and then extended from there, where I went to Oklahoma University. Believe it or not, I say believe it or not because everybody has a kind of a pejorative impression of what Coach Switzer was like at Oklahoma, a bunch of Wildcats running around doing what we did, but it was just the opposite of that, actually. And he provided a context where I learned a great deal through broadcast, working TV, radio, and all that other stuff. So had an opportunity to do it, and it was over an extended period of time. And if you make enough good decisions over a period of time, all of a sudden you start to be a person of character, and I think that's what helps.
We had Coach Switzer on the show, what was that, week 1, right?
It was the very first week we were on the air, yeah.
Yeah, week 1 of the
fantastic.
show, he was fantastic. And he remembers games. He was mad about the NFC Championship game down to the, like he was telling us it was 3:36 on the clock. I was pissed off about this. He would just on and on and on about all of this. What's it like reminiscing with him? Of course, he's one of the great coaches of all time, great radio guest. Anything you can say about Barry Switzer?
Well, I always tell people, and I get in trouble about this when I first did it, but it is true, and I've stuck to my guns since that, and that's been many, many years ago. Someone asked me to describe Barry Switzer just like you did. I said, well, Barry is like the Apostle Paul. He is all things to all men that he may win some to Oklahoma football. And that's how the way he was. You know, he would appeal to me. He knew I was the son of a missionary, and I'd babysit Doug, Kathy, and Greg, his 3 kids, and, you know, he trusted me with some things. And, you know, one of the first people that ever told me they loved me right my freshman year, right prior to playing Nebraska, Marcus Dupree had bailed on us, and I was starting that game, and it's just a lot of craziness that was going on, and he knew how to appeal to me. And alternately, he would appeal to Buster Rhymes, who may be from, you know, Miami Northwestern High School near Liberty City, tough place, totally different. He'd walk in the locker room with a fur coat on, and then, you know, tease the guys about it, and they'd have fun about it. He just had an ability to relate to you no matter where you were from and what you were about. And I think that was something to be admired about him, and love him for it.
Spencer, today the SEC is reporting. A week from today, 8 out of the 10 Big 12 teams will be reporting, and so on and so forth around the country. The NFL is working their way through how they're going to do things coming up as well. But, I mean, just given where we were about 2 months ago, how exciting is it just to have some football activity going on once again?
Yeah, I'm excited about that. You know, there's just a lot to be excited about. I mean, down your way, Dave Aranda coming in at Baylor, I think that's going to be something to really look forward to. And, you know, the lineage that he carries over from LSU and what they did in an unprecedented year is going to be a hot story. But I think, you know, we're fooling ourselves if we don't think, if we don't have our finger on the pulse of this COVID-19 and how everybody moves into that. And once again, this conference has provided leadership, you know, with respect to what Lincoln Riley has talked about in terms of when we should start providing some governance, if you will, leadership in that area, and having the courage of his convictions to speak that before everybody else is kind of, you know, stake their claim to what their position is going to be. That's what leaders do. They anticipate what will be and have the confidence to make the decisions, and then we'll worry about opinions a little bit later on. And I think the same thing can be said, you know, with Tom Herman at Texas. I mean, some of the statements he's made recently about things as it relates to not just COVID-19, but matters off the field in the wake of this racial unrest that we're dealing with in this nation, I think was so forward-thinking and so needed and so real that he took a major guess and actually sent a message to not just the nation, but certainly Longhorn Nation in particular, but to the nation at large, because this whole notion of what do we do when the cheering stops with these athletes and what role do alumnus play in that is one that resonates, because these programs do an excellent job of leveraging these kids through slick marketing campaigns and videos, and they leverage that. But once the cheering stops and you either get the paper or you don't and your eligibility is up, there's often a different narrative. And I want them to bridge that gulf. And I think Tom Herman, what he did is he challenged everybody in that regard. So for me, I think he's been a beacon so far. It's been a really pleasant surprise.
You know, it's been, and in fact, today the viewing with George Floyd, the funeral is tomorrow. We've had Roy Miller, Roy Williams. We've had Tommy Harris among Santana Dotson, who went to Yates. So many players, personalities, leaders, and athletes who have come on and shared their own opinion about a lot of things as a platform to give them an opportunity to speak. It's all about, Spence, is it as simple as educating those who aren't?
Yeah, man, that's really what it's about. I mean, you nailed it right on the head. I mean, I was out earlier. I live down here in the Houston area. I'm in Sugar Land proper, but made my way over to Third Ward area and was able to kind of view the body and just be a part of what's happening right now. And it is as important and as simple and as complex as education. And here's the thing that I would just encourage everybody. If you're part of mainstream culture or not, if you're white, black, green, it doesn't really matter. But if you happen to be part of the mainstream culture, I would encourage us not to underestimate the challenge that's involved in educating yourself on these significant issues. It's like anything else. Dr. King said that he who gets behind in a race must forever remain behind or run faster than the people in front. And in that message, he's basically pointing out the fact that 400 years of chattel slavery, another 100 years of Jim Crow law, 150 years of Jim Crow law, and then titular marginalization through the institutions that this nation it prides itself on, it's formidable to overcome that. And it's not going to happen overnight. With the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1965, we have basically said to people who have been marginalized for all that length of time that I just articulated, that now you must be as creative and as resourceful as the people who never knew that level of oppression. And I think when you start to consider, and it's not an excuse, I'm a no victims guy. I mean, you can give me half a chance and I'm going to come out win. If you see me in a fight and there's a bear, you better help the bear because I'm going to win. That's just the way I feel about things. So this is not about excuses. It's about acknowledging and informing and educating ourselves on exactly what are the constraints that this group of people who, when it was brought to America in 1619, was the only immigrant group to ever be enslaved in that country. I know that Irishmen and people who are part of our Italian culture had really tough times in this nation, but they were able to overcome. The skin issue is another stigma that African Americans have had to deal with. The only immigrant group where skin became a stigma, and where we make snap judgments about people, like the lady in New York, in Central Park, where I've spent a great deal of time when I was there with CBS for all those years. I mean, to be able to say that I'm going to call the police and tell them that a black man is threatening me and my dog, and the phone hangs up, and then when the police arrive on site, on scene, without questioning any of it, by default, that Harvard graduate, that African-American male is the one who is the perpetrator. And that knee-jerk reaction, that reflex that we have has to be checked. And the only way that can happen is through education. To come full circle to your comments, we have to educate ourselves and not be fooled, because racism is as injurious to the purveyor as it is to the object. And that's something that we don't really fully appreciate. Otherwise, if we did, we wouldn't have this problem in our nation if we truly understood that.
I really like what you just said about and kind of laying it out. This is such a more complex issue than I think a lot of people even realized. I think they thought, well, if I just am not a racist myself, everything will be fine. And that's really just such an oversimplification of everything that you just laid out, and the complexities that are interwoven into the government, which most people don't even know about.
Yeah, no question. I mean, just by default, I mean, most people, and just take, I know we're probably up against it, but real quickly, just take the Drew Brees situation that we've all been dealing with recently. Drew Brees was asked an open-ended question to which he could respond any way he chose to. And we don't and should not deride him for talking about his core values. But in the wake of 10 straight days of nothing but George Floyd's messaging being out there, his default position was to refer to how he emotionally feels about the flag, the national anthem, when it's being articulated and sung or either played by musicians. And he talked about his grandfathers, and all of that is legitimate. It's great. It is profound. But for 4 years to have passed in 10 straight days in that time period, for him not to have included in that narrative and a conjunction that basically says, that's the way I feel. However, what we must realize, and this gets back to your point of education, is that I've got teammates on my team, my 4 primary receivers that I throw the football to. Their grandfathers, until 1948, could not fight beside my grandfathers who spilled their blood for this nation because the Army was segregated. There were key combat roles that they could not even compete and battle in and spill their blood for this nation, although they were side by side, and they did lose, but it was not in a formal capacity. It wasn't until, again, the Executive Order 98-81 that until Truman did that, when they were able to actually serve in the military as part of a non-segregated situation. So when we start to think about that, GI Bill of Rights, the education and the housing that was all provided and then denied formally by our federal government to many of the minorities that served in the military, they didn't benefit. My father and my grandfather were denied access in that regard. My wife's father, who was in the Korean War and then also served later, he didn't benefit from any of that because they were formally excluded from that. And when you start thinking about it in that context, that's when we start talking about things like institutionalized racism. I mean, that's part of who we are. And we've got to own that, and we've got to find a way to correct it. But that begins with education.
Spencer, did you happen to see Wendell Pierce's thread a few days ago, the actor who's from New Orleans, who talked about his father fighting in the war, and just the long thread directed towards Drew Brees by any chance?
No, I did not see it. Help me out.
Well, it's at Wendell Pierce. He's in the wires, what he's most famously known for, but he had like a 10-tweet thread speaking about his father and his family being from New Orleans and fighting in the war, and it was basically counteracting Drew's point about respecting the armed forces, and that's why he said what he said originally. But it's too much for me to summarize, but I definitely encourage you to check it out. It was really powerful stuff. I'd be remiss because I know we have to let you go, and I hate to ask like a football question following up all the tremendous things that you just said, but you did mention Dave Aranda at the beginning. Just your thoughts on being a first-year coach, just in general, but much less with the circumstances he's handed right now. A lot of people felt like he's been ready for this. He walks into a good situation where the culture's been established now thanks to Matt Rule. Just your thoughts on Aranda as a first-year guy and what your expectations just are for him and what he can do.
Well, on that side of the ball, where his expertise is, they're going to be fine, okay? That part of it is good. But what people, and I think you probably encapsulated it in your comments about what Matt Rule did, he set the bar so high in such a relatively quick period of time, given what the program was before that. I mean, you think about, Art Briles, when he exited, it went just down. I mean, the bottom, you couldn't have gotten any lower in terms of morale and how to get things back to where they were before. And for Matt to do that in as quick a time period as he did, as I said, in probably week 2, I said he is doing as good a job as any coach I've ever seen in college football, because we had Baylor early on or midway through the season. Can't remember exactly what it was. But I went out on the ledge and said some things that people were like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? No, he has it down. He understood what leadership is all about. That leadership was influence, nothing more, nothing less, and understanding the context of his situation. And I just think the focus that he demonstrated was incredible. So now Aranda's got to live up to that. And I think he's got to set his expectations high, because I think by default, most people are going to think he can transfer that success that LSU experienced because of a convergence of 2 factors that were just totally off the chart. Nobody ever knew that you would end up having, a coordinator and a transfer who 3 years ago couldn't make the roster as the third quarterback at Ohio State come together at the same place, who have complementary skills to take you to an unprecedented year in college football. The chances of that happening again are slim and none. But Joe Burrow's success, and again with his offensive coordinator that came in there that helped him, I think was something that by default, people will try to transfer as part of what comes over with the success of Aranda. And I think you got to be careful, because you don't have that kind of quarterback, you don't have that situation, and that's going to be an issue. So as long as those expectations are in check, I think he's going to be fine.
Spencer, why I have to bring this up for those that don't know, and I introduced you in a lot of ways what you're involved with, but you were a team captain on the 85 National Championship Oklahoma Sooners, and you were a team captain on a Super Bowl championship team that had names like Montana Rice and others. What does that say about Spencer Tillman?
It says I was lucky as heck, and I had great parents, and and I've always been leadership-centric and had great leaders around me. I learned early on that nothing significant happens without effective leadership. And I've always said, and I tell my family this all the time, that leadership is the attribute in greatest demand, yet shortest supply. And just last year, we had Ronnie and Joe come back in and help us out with the Lombardi Honors last year. And it was just a great extension of what we established back in those 8 back-to-back Super Bowl teams. To be able to serve in a leadership capacity was just one of the greatest joys of my life.
Hey, man, thank you. We had Tim Brando on a couple of weeks ago to have you at kind of caps off. Well, go ahead, Paul, Craig.
Oh, Spencer, I was just going to tell you, I found the original tweet on that thread by Wendell, and I will tweet it at you right now.
I appreciate that very much. And also look at, I think there was another one out there by one of the Cincinnati Reds players that was outstanding too. And it escapes me right now because I read so much stuff today, but it was really, really outstanding. There's been a lot of players that have stepped up and said some cool things.
Thank you, Spencer, for being a part of the show and in your insight. Spencer Tillman with us, Fox Sports, OU. He played with the Oilers, played with the 49ers, was on their Super Bowl championship team, and then also back to the Oilers to close out his career. He's an incredibly successful entrepreneur as well.
And he's doing more NFL stuff nowadays, right? Yeah. But still so tapped into the college game. But, yeah, I always enjoy listening to him and Brando. They're a really good 1-2 that I've always enjoyed their broadcasts together because they're just both really good at what they do and they complement each other really well.
All right, so I don't know if this is going to happen. At 5 o'clock, we have Ishmael Johnson, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, 5:30, Blake Anderson from Arkansas State. Jackie Slater just sent me a text, all-time great with the Rams, a Hall of Fame lineman. Maybe squeeze him in either at the next segment or the one after Ishmael between Blake Anderson. I don't know, but we keep rolling on this SicEm365 radio.
Are you in the market for a new home? Or are you trying to sell the one you're in? You need to call my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Let them be your go-to source as you search for that perfect home. Just give them a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. You cannot beat the way that Lance will listen to you. He's one of the best listeners you'll ever meet in your life. He kind of just hears everything you've got to say. He takes it in, and he's going to help find you that perfect house. He's a great guy, fun to hang out with, fun to talk to. Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Drive forward at Allen Samuels. Get big summertime values on new Jeeps, the vehicles of summer. Now get 0% for 72 months and no payments for 90 days on select Jeep models. Plus, the all-new Jeep Gladiator now features employee pricing for all. Shop safely in person or shop and buy online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Now, more than ever, your friend in the car business. Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
You know, we are very fortunate with the kind of guests. Thanks to Spencer Tillman. We'll talk high school football with Ishmael Johnson, Arkansas State head coach Blake Anderson coming up at 5:30. Earlier today, we had a Pro Football Hall of Famer in Claude Humphrey who terrorized offensive tackles and quarterbacks. And now we have one of the best who ever played the game at tackle, Jackie Slater of the Rams, with us on SicEm365 Radio. How often did you go head-to-head with Claude Humphrey?
Well, I'm lucky to be able to tell you that I never went head-to-head with Claude Humphrey when he was in his prime. When Claude Humphrey was in his prime, my rookie year at the Los Angeles Coliseum, I went from a cheering, robust backup on the sideline to watching two veteran players, starting right tackle John Williams and our starting tight end Terry Nelson. I watched them have a conversation on the sideline after I saw Claude Humphrey come stomping down amongst them, and the conversation went like this. They looked at one another, and Terry Nelson, the tight end who had cleat marks on his gut, he looked at me and said to me, with John listening, he said, "They're hitting out there." And I thought to myself, no crap. Man, Claude Humphrey was a monster.
Do you have to do different things as when you get to be a veteran in the league, when you get to learn especially what the elite guys will do to you? Do you practice differently during the week to make sure that you are able to take on a Claude Humphrey or whoever it is that's coming at you?
Well, the thing that makes Claude Humphrey and Reggie White, Howie Long, Ed Too Tall Jones, and Fred Dean who they are is first and foremost an unbelievable amount of physical talent. They're uniquely built, and I learned to categorize body build. And so I inherently knew what a guy with a long upper torso and short legs, what his strengths were. And I also knew how those strengths could negatively affect me. And so therefore I try to adhere to the technical staples that I use that would allow me to counter that particular body style. Now, on top of dealing with the body style and the class of athletes they were, now you have to deal with the mentality of them realizing how special they were and the way they really try to impose their will on it. And that was one of the tougher aspects for me, to consistently go into games against people like that, knowing that they were committed to imposing their will on you, and that if I didn't do things perfectly technically and with the right attitude, competitive attitude, I was going to fail. It was as simple as that.
7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, number retired with the Rams, won the Bart Starr Award in 1996 for the kind of person that he is, and Pro Football Hall of Famer Jackie Slater with us on SicEm365 Radio. Jackie, the way the game is played today, were head slaps disallowed during your career, or did that come because we know what Deacon Jones and Claude Humphrey just mentioned that. What was that like when you first started? I can't remember.
Well, Deacon Jones I got to know well because he was a color analyst for the Rams that traveled with us when I was young in my career. He retired in 74, and I came in 76. By the time I got there, the head slaps had been outlawed. But that didn't mean that guys didn't slip it in on occasion. And Deacon would often tell me, he said he lined the palm of his hand with some metal strips, cushion on one side, metal on the other. And his goal was not so much, they talk a lot about him, how hard he hit you up beside the head and that it would hurt you and disorient. Deacon told me that he used the head slap as a distraction. People fail to realize that Deacon Jones was one of the fastest men on the field, period, at any moment in time that he was out there. And so his goal was to make a guy blink. And then as he blinked and took his eyes off Deacon, he used his explosive speed and made plays on the edge. That's what Deacon Jones told me he wanted to do.
You played at Jackson State, and you played alongside the great and one of the greatest men to ever play in the game, and person overall in Walter Payton. We had Claude Humphrey. He's from Tennessee State. Historically black colleges and universities that just flooded the NFL with amazing talent. What was it like during that time to be at schools that you finally were able to get noticed and then prove how good and how deep the talent was at Jackson State or Mississippi Valley State with Jerry Rice or Grambling or and Tennessee State, among others?
Well, you failed to mention NFL inductee of 2 years ago, Hall of Famer Robert Brazile.
Mm-hmm.
In 1975, 2 of the top 4 picks in the NFL draft were from my school, Jackson State University. Walter Payton was number 4. Robert Brazile was number 6. And the thing that I remember about those 2 guys was the way they worked in practice, the way we were driven by our coaches. I believe our coaches would have been suspended by the NC2A now for some of the things that we did, the way we practiced and got after each other. It was kind of survival of the fittest. And I'd be perfectly honest with you. When I knew how special they were. I didn't really know how good I was or how good I could be. In fact, I remember playing in a college all-star game in '76, the last one they had where we played against the defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers. And I remember being in that camp with all of these high, big-name draft picks out of all of the big schools all around the country, Nebraska, you name it, they were there. Chuck Muncie from Cal, all kinds of big-name guys, both the Selman guys, Leroy and Dewey. And I remember wondering, I was the only African-American offensive lineman there, by the way, and I remember wondering if I stacked up, wondering if I fit. You know, I knew I had been eating pork chops and greens and green beans, and I hear these guys talking about eating, you know, steak and eating good and stuff like that. So I wondered if I matched up. And so what I did was when I got to practice there under Sid Gilman, you remember Sid Gilman, he was Air Farsegian's offensive line coach in that last game. And I remember saying, okay, well, what do I have to lose? You know, I'm just going to go out here and just practice like I practice and see what happens. And what I found in the practices, in a very short period of time, I went from third string, every position on the offensive line, and number 1 step and fetches. Slater, go get those books down there. Slater, go get those pens. Slater, drag those bags up here so we can hit them. I went from that to the starting right guard assigned to play against Mean Joe Green. And so I concluded after that week that, yeah, I did fit, and yeah, I did belong, and yeah, I was good enough, in spite of the fact that I was eating pork chops and greens and these other guys were eating steak. And now maybe the thing that's going to give me a chance to play and stay here is the way I conduct myself in practice. And that my practice efforts and the things that I did at Jackson State for 4 years that I learned to do out of survival and expectation were not standard operational protocol with these guys, many of these guys from the schools that were from big schools from around the country. I mean, we had one period where Sid Gilman told us to step over here and touch your assignment and step over there. Well, because of the way things were shaken down, I didn't get any repetition. So I told a couple of guys, hey, I'm coming off the ball. And then I came off the ball and hit the guy, and Sid called me after the whistle blew and said, hey, don't do that again. He said, that's a teaching period. We do our hitting over here. Well, when we got over there, I didn't get any hitting at all. So I came out the very next day with fear that this was going to adversely affect me, and I told the guy, hey, I'm coming off the ball again. I hit the guy pretty hard, and Sid stopped the drill, and I went 5 straight one-on-one with some of the best talent in the country. And that first 2 or 3, I got after them pretty good, but after that, it threw me around a little bit. So we went down to this period where we're going to have the heavy scrimmaging, and I was tired. I knew it, and Sid told me to get in there. So I guess he was really wanting to show me, okay, that he was going to show me that it's time to hit, and you don't know what you're doing. Well, what he didn't know is I had worked up a lather, and I was in my element. So from that point on, I was the starting right guard there. And to take it a step farther to show you just how much the work ethic helped me was all of the guys at that time were signing the contracts, and my agent wouldn't even call me back because they were blowing them off and everything. And so I went to Sid Gilman. I told him, hey, I'm not going to be able to play in the game, Sid. I appreciate you putting me in the starting lineup. He interrupted me. He said, what do you mean you're not going to be able to play? I said, well, all the guys are getting their contracts done, and, you know, I just got married. I got everything I own in the world and a green Foot Locker up there in my room, and I can't afford to get hurt in this game. The man pointed his finger at me, and he said, listen, he said, your contract is going to get done. You're going to play in this game. Only thing I want you to focus on is practice getting Mean Joe Green. So I'm thinking to myself, who is this guy? I didn't know who he was. And I'm thinking, I can't, this is going to be awkward because I can't play in the game and run the risk of getting hurt. Well, the next day my agent called me and he said, Jackie, I finally got him to move. Well, the long and short of it was I played in the game. The Rams had a guy signed to take me straight from Chicago to Los Angeles. And when I went to training camp, they drove me straight to training camp, and I went straight into, before I got my equipment, I went straight in to see the general manager, Don Klosterman. And he said to me, he said, Jackie, he said, welcome, glad to have you. And he said, how was your week there? And I said, well, it went okay. I ended up getting to play. He said, well, you know, you caused quite a stir. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, what is he talking about? Maybe I irritated Sid and he complained. He said, Sid Gilman called me on the phone and he asked me what kind of a jerky fool was I. He said, I want you to know that not only do you have the best offensive lineman here, but you might have the best lineman in the camp. And when I heard that, I mean, it just confirmed the commitment that I had to try to be like Walter Payton and try to be like Robert Brazile and try to be the kind of guy I was when I had to block Gary Big Hands Johnson from Grambling, who, by the way, was the 8th player pick in the draft in 1975. And I found that over the long haul, just working hard and practicing like I never won, and then playing in the games like I never lost. I mean, it just snowballed, and I just flourished in an environment which was, quite frankly, uncomfortable for me because I was coming from a segregated environment, and I had to get used to working with white guys all over again. You know, from as I did when I went my first 2 years in high school when they forced integration in the state of Mississippi. So it was a journey for me, and one that as I look back on it and think about, you know, what made the difference for me, it was just me being around men who understood what it meant to practice the game the way they wanted to play it.
You just said that it was difficult for you to have to play, you know, being the only African-American offensive lineman, and you know, you experienced desegregation, and then you went to a place that was segregated again. Given everything that's going on now, what lessons did you learn, or things that you see then that I'm sure were really hard that you can apply and maybe share with people now so they can kind of understand some of the things that are going on?
Well, I mean, the one real thing that all my friends know, I have one of my friends, former teammates, first-round pick out of Nebraska, George Andrews. I think he was a first-round pick in '79, the year the Rams went to that first Super Bowl. He's locally. We go to the same church. And he called me up on the heels of the Floyd situation here that we're dealing with now. And he just called me up to see how I was doing, to check on me and everything, you know. But he was really calling because I know him. He was my roommate at one time. He was really calling to let me know that he's feeling badly for me and what I was having to watch happen and all of that. And, you know, the thing that I think is the most important thing is that, you know, I really do believe that, and it's difficult sometimes with certain guys, but I really do believe that, you know, if you treat a person the way you want to be treated, then there's a very good possibility that you're going to be doing the kind of things, saying the kind of things, and being the kind of person that you should be, and helping other people around you as they observe, you know, the way you go about your business. I mean, I you know, my heart goes out to all the young African American people who had to witness that horrific scene with Floyd, and I feel so badly for everybody who's so critically hurt by this, and people who look at this and have become afraid because of the color of their skin. But, you know, I got to be honest with you, perfectly honest with you. My heart goes out to the man who committed this heinous act. I mean, I just can't imagine that you know, that the way he feels right now, how he personally has ignited just a storm across our country. And, you know, he's a human being just like you and I. And, you know, he might have been doing what he was doing with bravado, the superiority complex, and any number of reasons why he was doing it, but the effects of what he has done and how it has affected him personally and how it has affected his wife and how it has affected his friends and in the community in which he was serving. You know, I just, I just find it very difficult to believe that this guy is not hurting right now worse than anybody in our country. And my heart goes out to him when I think about it. I mean, it's me, and I know other people feel that way as well. There got to be some, and there got to be some that perhaps side with him. I do understand that as well, but there's no way you can make me believe that, as a person, as a human being, that this guy doesn't have deep, 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 deep regrets about what he did, and he's a human being. And I have, as opposed to hating him, wishing I could get my hands on him and all of this, no, I choose to look at this guy and hope that he, can somehow get himself straight with the attitude that he used as he did this heinous act, and that his life would somehow end up, in a better place. And if not here, then in the afterlife, because, my heart goes out to him, and my heart goes out to everybody. My sons, I have two sons that, that have been, in situations several times in their young lives with me being a pro football player, me being a guy who was making a decent living and living in a decent neighborhood, and they've still had to deal with this. And it bothers them sometimes. They hurt. We've had to have conversations with them about how to conduct themselves all the time, and how to hold their hands, and how to do this, and how to get out of the car, and don't do this, and don't. Those are conversations. I can't imagine in fact, I know for a fact, because I was very involved with my boys, with the schools that they went to and the sports that they did all of their lives. And the things that I was telling my sons as they were hanging out with their white friends, their parents didn't tell them and wasn't telling them. And I know that for a fact. And so there's a different existence. And I'm hopeful, and it's my prayer that through the efforts of everybody who, that has watched the attention be brought to this situation in our country because of Mr. Floyd's death, I'm hoping for a better society that my grandkids can grow up in our country.
I think a lot of people want that. That's what we hope, as long as we don't just stop and we continue to educate and educate and educate and listen and listen and listen. I saw where your son Matthew made a comment. He said, if our country operated like a locker room, it would be a beautiful thing. And I know that there are still locker rooms that might be divisive or whatever, but sports, Marcus Spears one time said this to us. This is like right before Colin Kaepernick took a knee, that, it kind of stopped. When you walk in the locker room, all of whatever prejudices you have end. And that doesn't mean it's always the case, but is that what you would think as well, Jackie, that a locker room, an NFL locker room, a clubhouse in baseball, that a lot of that, when you walk through the door, a lot of whatever it is ends?
Well, if that football team or that baseball team is having any success, that happens. It's just an impossibility, because what you ultimately learn to do in the ultimate team sport. I think football is the ultimate team sport, and the reason why it's the ultimate team sport is because there's so many people depending on you to do your job. And for the good football teams that I was on, the better people understood how important their jobs were to everyone else's success, those are the teams that we had the most success on. When we had individuals who were clamoring for attention, who if wanted to throw the ball more, then he gave it off to the back, or wanted to get the ball more as a runner than the quarterback was passing. When we had that kind of stuff going on, even a hint of it, those are some of the least productive offenses that I played with. But whenever there was a lot of wholesome conversation about solving the problems that persisted on certain plays, and then going about the business of not only doing their job but making someone else easy. Oh man, whenever that I was on teams, and I was on 20 of them, and I don't remember how many there were. But whenever I was on teams like that where I felt that and I saw that, we won games. We were in the playoffs, and we were making noise as a good football team. The commentators would always say, "Hey, this is a good team. This is a competitive team," and those were the hallmarks of those teams. compassion to not only do your job, but to do your job to such an extent that it gave everybody else an opportunity to be successful.
Jackie, thanks for being patient with me blowing up your phone for the last month.
Okay.
You have been fantastic today. I knew you would be. Thank you for your insight on many things. 20 years playing in the offensive tackle in a league that's violent like that and what you represent. Thanks for your time.
You're very welcome. I hope you guys have a great day and stay safe to you and all your listeners.
You too, sir. That's Jackie Slater. Think about this. 20 years as an offensive tackle. Played his entire career with the Rams. Became a coach with the Raiders, also a coach in college at Azusa Pacific. But some powerful words. We appreciate him along with everybody else. We're not done. Ishmael Johnson, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, will join us. Blake Anderson from Arkansas State, he'll join us. Anything to say after we wrap it up? This is SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Summer values waiting for you. Amazing factory incentives and discounts with special financing available. Continuing the 0% financing for 72 months, no payments for 90 days on select Jeep models. The new Jeep Gladiator now features employee pricing. Get 0% for 72 months or 0.9% for 84 on a new 2020 Jeep Compass. Remaining 2019 Rams, 0% for 72 months. New 2020 Ram 4x4 Lone Stars are now featuring $10,250 in values. And remember, first responders get an additional $500 in bonus cash select vehicles. Doctors, nurses, police, paramedics, fire, sheriff, and deputies, correction officers, and more. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. AJ is one of the salesmen there, and I had that 2001 Tahoe that was like Methuselah among all cars. Finally, it was time. AJ helped me find a new car, a pre-owned car with all the bells and whistles at Alan Samuels. Asked for him. It's Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help you and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate at 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Baylor trying to go 6-0. Hasty to the end zone. Touchdown. Baylor wins in double overtime.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. When life is stressful, there's an ideal solution. Ideal MRI. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
On Friday, we had Greg Tepper. We've had Matt Stepp, of course, a handful of times among others, and the editor, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, and the managing editor of their basketball magazine, Ishmael Johnson, joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. Ish, thanks for being a little patient with us. All of a sudden, we get the text from Jackie Slater. He was on. Thanks for your time. When the magazine is finally sent to print, I'm trying to think of what that feeling must be like. I've been involved in sending things to print. I've been involved in projects or whatever. Is it a relief when it's sent to print?
Yeah, so I relate it to back when you were in school, whether it was high school or college, and you got finished with that final, whether it was mid exam or test before winter break, that first big break of the year, in between the year. It's that release where you hand that paper in, and then you're out, and then you're home for 2 weeks or a month or however long it was for you guys. And you're just like, oh, okay, the pressure's gone. We're good. Like, right, we're good, because any it doesn't matter what's on your mind. It doesn't matter anymore. It's out of your hands. You've done everything you can, and it's one of the biggest reliefs you can have.
It was this year, and I saw Matt mention this a few times. Was this year even easier to collect information because coaches really basically had nothing to do?
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of surprising because we were all in different locations ourselves. We didn't go back into the office until very recently, But yeah, for as far as contacting coaches, players were a little bit sometimes tricky to get in contact with. But as far as coaches were concerned, I mean, we literally, I believe we got every 11-man school in the state sent in a questionnaire, which is the first time since Tepper's been there since that's been the case. Usually we have to maybe come up with a preview ourselves completely. If the coach doesn't send in their questionnaire and fill out their forms. But this year it was literally like you said, nothing else to do. Might as well tell this magazine about our team and the players we have coming back.
Is it harder to get a gauge on the teams for the coaches because of no spring, especially for the 5As and 6As with no spring football?
Sure. A little bit. Some of the coaches have, they had winter workouts before everybody left, before everybody was called off. And obviously the biggest indicator for us every year, no matter what, even what goes in the spring, is performance and past performance and consistency. And so that doesn't change, obviously, when you look at last year and, the teams, what they have coming back. Obviously, moves and stuff, transfers happen. But for the most part, it's not that difficult. You'd love a little bit more detail as far as spring goes, to iron out a little bit of depth chart placing. Okay, a coach may send in 2 names at quarterback, even though spring probably would have weeded it down to 1. Those kind of things obviously pop up. But for the most part, we like returning production and things like that are things that we hinge a lot on.
Ishmael Johnson, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, with us on SicEm365 Radio. You did a lot of the articles and coverage of the 2A, 3A, and 4A, and right here in Central Texas, despite the fact that, Midway will make a run or Temple will make a run. Mainly, it's an area just dominated by Mart and by La Vega and by others and many others in that classification. Cameron Yo's had a great run over the years. The last couple of years, not quite so much. I bet there's a chance you probably had a few of those teams on your radar.
Oh yeah. So basically, how I do my previews, I know Greg has a different process. The way we construct the written previews, at least, I usually contact the coaches of top teams we have ranked, and then maybe some sleepers here and there in the top 25 or top 20. And every year I'm basically talking to Kevin Hoffman at Mart, like every single year, because spoilers, I mean, not really a spoiler, Mart's going to be number 1 in 282. And so it's obviously those programs, you just have to keep a tab on every year. Last year was supposed to be, I put that in quotes, Mart's down year, but they just won another state title anyway, and now they won it with a bunch of sophomores and juniors, so now they're loaded for the next 2 years to win it again. Obviously, programs like Midway obviously had a tough deal in realignment, but they're still Midway. You still expect them to compete. I still expect them to make the playoffs just because that program's been up and running. There are definitely some programs where you're just like, just pencil them in. Connolly's another one as well the past couple of years for them.
Do you think there's anybody that's poised to maybe have a little bit of a drop-off because of realignment? I thought Midway might have been in that category, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough to pencil them in for a state, for a district title, just because of where they are. But I mean, I don't know. Some people want to probably put them into the teams that are like, I'm probably gonna finish 5th or 6th. I don't know. I think there's a lot of. I think that selling what Jeff Young's doing there is really short. I mean, they're a team that's penciled in for 9-10 wins every single year. As far as a team that's gonna be struggling, no, that's going to be interesting. That's one to watch out for. I don't have one off the top of my head. I think Temple got a really good draw as well. Everybody in that whole area. I'm trying to think. I have nothing off the top of my head where it's like, ooh, that team in Central Texas really, really has a tough outing.
Ishmael, in addition to, the typical things you would have in the magazine, you got the 100th anniversary of the UIL, and I know that there was a lot of discussion about, the greatest this, the greatest that. How difficult and how fun was that to go through these lists and compile, out of the thousands and thousands of great teams, players, and memories? How fun and difficult at the same time was that to narrow it down?
Yeah, so that was a huge undertaking. It's really cool because myself, I'm still fairly young, and so my knowledge of Texas high school football, I can study as much as I want, but there still is, I'm not going to be the most well-versed person when it comes to Dangerfield, right? I'm not going to be the most well-versed person when it comes to some of the teams near the coast that dominated early on. And so for me, getting to look at teams like when I grew up, the first North Shore win was Bobby Reed, and like comparing them against other teams, or comparing them to the Katy team from 2015, which to me is one of the best teams I've ever seen. But obviously there are teams that I didn't consider, the 80s, 90s, early 2000s even. Comparing those face to face, like, okay, I got to look at this objectively. I got to be able to say, you got to be able to compare how dominant they were to their era, which I think is very difficult, because obviously things have changed as far as workouts and facilities, and there's so many upgrades that it's hard to just say one-to-one, so you almost have to say, okay, come into their era, why do these teams compare as far as dominance is concerned? And that was challenging, but it was also a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is, I'm just old, so I have a lot more of those teams that you mentioned, a lot of them. I remember Bobby Reed and how good he was. He went to Oklahoma State, correct? I believe.
I'm a man, I'm 40.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was one of the first state championships that I remember watching my grandfather, and I was like, who is that? Like, I just remembered, like, every play he made, everything he did. It was just so much fun. Yeah, it was incredible.
The Dangerfield teams, and I think they're going to be a big threat again this year. I think that Coach Nelson's got that going. Ishmael, your thoughts about, now that it's over, Today was that first day. I went out to La Vega. I went to Connolly and was able to kind of get the feeling from young men who are and other athletes. It's not just football, but volleyball and others. But you know, it's a strange, unique, challenging time in our country right now with what everyone got through. They thought with COVID, and then of course the George Floyd story as well. And I've seen some of what you've tweeted and also some of your opinions as well. Would you like to just kind of share your thoughts about today's America?
Yeah, so I think I'll start with the COVID thing first. I think it's, a lot of responsibility is going to be put on the coaches, obviously, and this has been put on the coaches, because if we want to be able to play in the fall in some capacity, right, whether it's adjusted attendance or anything, it's going to be down to these districts and these coaches in the end. And so I'd say right now, letting them – I've seen a lot of positive things. I think Keller was tweeting out photos of guys lifting weights in the concourse of the stadium and things like that. Getting creative in the midst of, like you said, uncertain times. There's nothing that we can look at for precedence for this. It's showing – if we see good signs from this, I'd say that there's definitely going to be more confidence saying, okay, they can be responsible enough to play football, to have something, somewhat of some kind of season in the fall. And I think today was the first steps of getting to that. As far as the George Floyd thing, my thing is players and, particularly players, college and high school, have never had a bigger platform to speak their mind, especially players of color. And I think that you've seen what I think Florida State had an incident where, the coach sent a reporter one thing saying, oh, yes, I talked to all my players individually about that. And the player said, no, he hasn't. We haven't talked to this guy at all about this. And, it made him backtrack and actually made him converse with his players about the whole situation as far as racial relations and police brutality and things of all this going on right now. And so you're seeing I've seen some high school players speak up on Twitter as well. And, high school coaches have shown their solidarity with their players. They're showing their support for speaking out, using their voice, because, in their communities, these players have their voices carry a lot of weight. And so I think that right now, as the unrest kind of, sustains itself, I'd say that players have to use this as a moment to, if they feel comfortable using their voice to, speak their mind, and don't be afraid to, because I don't think previously they've had the chance to, especially players who are playing right now, and I don't know if they'll get a better opportunity to in the future.
Ishmael, thanks. Great work with the magazine. You and Greg and Matt and everyone else. I know there's plenty of others that are a part of it. Sheehan, we appreciate that. Thanks for your time. We'll see you down the road.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.
That's Ishmael Johnson, Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. Also very heavily involved in the basketball magazine that they launched just a handful of years ago that gives the basketball programs quite a bit of attention as well. 5:26 is the time. We have started and not stopped, and we're not done. He played at Baylor. He went to Hubbard High School. He's now the head coach at Arkansas State. You talk about someone who has had to persevere life. Blake Anderson, head football coach at Arkansas State, is next on SicEm365 Radio.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas. Our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. In today's world, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less, sometimes thousands thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. We even offer financing. Everything's included in the price, and more importantly, you'll not get a bill in the mail later on. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule an appointment safely from home, online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe, and together we'll get through this at idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio poll is brought to you by Pickup Outfitters, where everything purchased and installed comes with our famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, here we go in this show that has had two Pro Football Hall of Famers in Claude Humphrey and Jackie Slater. We've visited with high school football coaches from La Vega and Conley and a player, along with much more. We've looked at the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine yet again from a different view. And we're now joined by Blake Anderson, the head football coach at Arkansas State from Hubbard, Texas. Played at Baylor in 1990 or 1987 through 89. And he joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. Coach, how we been? I know it's been a really tough time for you. I appreciate you so much for jumping on the show today.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I mean, I could make up a bunch of reasons to be having a bad day, but man, I'm blessed, so I'm doing well.
You know, I just saw where you tweeted out an image from Martin Luther King and how we can always get better and be smarter. What have the last couple of weeks taught you, or what have they meant to you?
Well, last couple of weeks have been hard. I lost my father in the last couple of weeks, and obviously everybody knows I lost my wife back in August, and now to be dealing with all that we're doing with COVID, and then to have the things going on in our country. To me, it just reminds me to cherish every day and love the people around you, and do the best I can at honoring Christ with how I treat everybody, regardless of where they're from, regardless of the color of skin, and don't assume anything because life's short, and we need to do the best of it while we're here.
Coach, what has been your message to your team when you've gotten to talk to them about everything that's going on and how you guys can come together and participate in this process together as a team?
Well, I just remind them, number one, hey, I am in this with you. I think they know my heart and they know me well enough. I mean, 6 years here, I've recruited every one of them, been in all of them's homes, and I mean, we don't see color here. I mean, everybody's the same, and that's the one thing that I love about a football locker room. But I tell you, you do have a voice and you do have a platform, and this is an opportunity for you to stand for what you believe, and we'll support and stand right there with you. If that means standing next to you in a press conference or retweeting what you put out or giving you the opportunity to speak, we're happy to do that. We just want you to think about what you want to say. Don't be somebody that just spur of the moment, put something out. I mean, think about what you want to say. What exactly do you want to come from it, so that it's not just words, that it actually has the opportunity to create change. And we all want the same thing. We want everybody to be treated the way they need to be treated, the way God treated us. And these guys have the opportunity to speak, maybe now more than they ever have, and truly affect change. So we've had several conversations like that, and just told them, man, reach out, feel safe to reach out between myself and our AD. We're happy to help, and feel free just to ask questions if you're confused or you don't really know what you want. And I think the guys have done a good job with that so far.
Coach, it's clear how much you love Arkansas State when you talk about the school. You just recently received a restructured contract extension a couple of weeks back. Congratulations on that. And just the idea of to not take away from what's going on right now, but there is some optimism when it comes to the game of football right now. I don't know that there was much of that a month ago. How just nice is it to see some momentum, even though there's a lot of things that need to be answered still, and it's very uncertain, but just to know where we are now compared to where we were a couple of months ago, do you feel good about the game of football coming back?
Well, I know we all want it, and I think the country needs it. It definitely would have an opportunity to help heal some of the things that we're dealing with. It just always seems to be something that brings people together, and when so many different issues are pulling people apart. I do feel better now than we did a month or two ago about the possibility of this happening. I still think there's a lot that has to happen over the course of the next month so that we all really feel comfortable with it. But it sure seems to be moving in that direction. I think the more data that we get on a daily basis helps. We've got our guys back on campus now doing voluntary workouts, and we did have some guys test positive, but we're working through it and creating a plan and working through our protocols, trying to get a good grasp on what this is going to look like, and I do feel like it's going to be possible.
How fun was that to see guys back on campus?
Oh, that's huge. I mean, it's been a couple months of nothing but screens. Now, we're still not physically hands-on with them. Our strength staff is, our training staff is, but coaches are not. We're kind of in a phase one, I guess, for us too, just being really cautious. But just being able to look outside and see some guys walking across campus or see them going into the complex, running through the stadium, it feels really good having been away from them for so long.
Blake, you were on the staff with Larry Fedora, I think even at Middle Tennessee State, then of Southern Miss and North Carolina. He's now with Dave Aranda at Baylor as their offensive coordinator. Your thoughts about Coach Fedora?
Well, I followed Larry into Middle. When he left to go to Florida, I came in and took over. And so we've been talking ball and been friends for way before. I actually met Larry when I finished playing at Baylor for Coach Taft. I finished up my last couple of years at Sam Houston State. And I came back and rehabbed a knee surgery with Doc Sims and Chandler and those guys in the summer. And I met Larry when he was a GA. So we've really known each other since he was a GA back at Baylor in, I guess, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And I just always thought he did a phenomenal job with what he did. He was a dynamic, energetic guy. He carried that into being a head coach. His numbers as a coordinator speak for themselves. He was one of the first guys to truly be no-huddle tempo offense and on the cutting edge of that. So now he hadn't called a ball play in a while, but he's always stayed in the mix. He was always in there with us when we were meeting at Southern Miss in Carolina. I know he did the same thing after I left. And he just loved X's and O's. What I've seen from him since is the same energy. We talk a lot. You can see that in his social media. You can hear it in his voice. I think he'll do a phenomenal job.
I left out Florida because we have a Florida State alum who's one of our co-hosts.
Coach, I'm a big fan of yours. I just choose to believe that everybody makes choices in their life that they regret, and I get it. I get it.
Well, they scored a bunch of points when he was down there.
No question about it. When you look at what you've experienced personally and the story with your wife and her battle, how tough of a woman she was, and you shared that on social media, what she went through. And then your father, who lives right down the road, we're in Waco, in Hubbard. I drive through Hubbard on Highway 31 on the way back to East Texas all the time.
Slow down to like 25, 30 miles per hour.
You got to be careful in Hubbard.
You better slow down. You better slow down. They'll get you.
When someone says they're having a bad day, what do you tell them after what you've experienced?
I'd take it for its worth and just try to lift them up. I mean, everybody's living in their own world, and I'm not ever gonna beat somebody up who's struggling. I just lift them up and see if I can be some sense of encouragement. I just know for me, I've lost people, and I just assume that there are people going through way worse. We've been so blessed. I didn't want to lose Wendy, and I sure didn't want to lose my dad either. But I know where they're going to be and where I'm going to see them again. They love the Lord, and they were ready. Wendy was ready to go home in the end, and my dad told me before he passed, I'm ready to go hug Wendy's neck. So I know this is just temporary, and I'm going to see him again. And so I just rejoice in the fact that I can cling to that. Maybe I want everybody to have that. And I just try to lift people up and tell them that I'm here for them and do the best I can at being an encouragement to people. I think that's the best way I can help somebody going through a tough time.
You played for a couple of years for Coach Taft. You mentioned that. Do you have a good Coach Taft story for us?
Well, I still talk to Coach Taft a good bit, and so he's been huge in my career. I think for us, all of us, when he finally knew your name, your first name, then that was a big deal. And you wanted it. He had nicknames for everybody, but when you heard him say your first name, that was a big deal. And you just wanted it to be for something positive and not something negative. So I can tell you, the first time he said, "Blake Anderson, get over here," he was saying something good. And so I felt like I got out of it okay.
Do they still, and I don't know, I was at a couple of high school workouts, but it's strength and conditioning right now because they're trying to get back in shape or whatever. But do you still put the tag, the piece of tape on the front of a helmet of a name of a player? You don't have to do that in college, but remember those days when your name was on the forehead of your helmet?
Yeah, we actually have done that a couple times when we've at the beginning of the spring, we put the last name on there occasionally just so you can get to know some of the freshmen and some of the walk-on. But yeah, everybody had those names on those helmets. Now they didn't last long because we were hitting each other pretty much from the beginning of practice to the end back in those days. And so that tape would be gone real quick.
Arkansas State, from the day you've arrived, you have stabilized the program, and they've had nothing but winning seasons ever since, including 8-5 the last couple of years, 9-4 and 15. Your thoughts about where you are? I thought there was a year. I'm a lifelong. I'm born in Omaha, Nebraska. My dad's was military, but I remember you gave them fits. Where is Arkansas State, and what's the future like in your opinion?
Well, we've had a great run. You're right. I mean, that's 9 years, considering the 6 that we've been here. That's 9 straight bowls and 5 titles during that time. But what people don't realize is just what it did to the roster to go through 5 head coaches. So I would tell you that we are getting close to being to full strength. We'll probably start the season with about 77, 78 recruited scholarship players. That's well up from when I took the job 6 years ago. And I truly believe the next 6 years can be better than the last. We've got unbelievable facilities that they built us over the last 5 years. We have stabilized a roster where we can manage it and maintain it without just a crazy year like a year ago with all the injuries. But I truly believe that we're getting to where we want to get to. We want to compete on a national level in the group of 5. And we've seen the formula work at Boise, and Houston went through it in Central Florida. I think we're on that track. I think we just need to keep doing what we're doing, and that is possible. And so I love where we're at and where we're headed.
The 85 scholarship limit and the way that has changed college football, is that still a benefit for the non-Power 5 schools like you mentioned because there's so much talent out there to share?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty to go around. The issue is not so much finding on the front end, on the recruiting, on signing day. I mean, signing 25 is not the issue. The issue is retention, the grad transfers, the guys that have to quit playing due to medical issues, the guys that transfer down and play at lower levels once you out-recruit that position or they didn't develop. The issue and what's taken us so long is the hard cap at 25. And so we just have battled, but the 85 is not the concern. We can find players, and within 6 hours of driving in any direction, we can find great players. It's the retention and just the consistency of keeping that roster up. And when you're the 5th head coach in 5 years and you take over a program with 55 scholarship players, I mean, it's taken every bit of 6 going on 7 years to get us up to 78. That's just the challenge.
You mentioned your location, and for our listeners that don't know where you're located, you're really close to Memphis. You're close to Texas. You've got Arkansas. You have so many different things. How much does that play into that you could hit a dry spell in one spot, but you have other places to hop onto?
Well, no doubt. I mean, you go to Kansas City on the north end. You go to Atlanta on the east. We go to Dallas on the west and all the way down to New Orleans on the south, and that's roughly 6.5 hours in any of those directions. So it is, does kind of cycle through. One area will be a little bit stronger than others each year, but that's a lot of ground to cover. So my coaches have to do a great job, and I think they have. And we really have guys from every state in that circle to make up our recruiting class on a given year.
Coach, one of your better players last year, William Bradley King, is transferred to Baylor. I don't know how much you can really comment or if you have much to say on it, but if you do, your thoughts on William Bradley King, the player, the person, what people can expect in Waco?
Well, he loves to chase the passer. I mean, he absolutely wants to pass us and get after the quarterback, and that's the league to be in. They throw the ball a ton. Hated to see him go. I was very honest with him. I felt like he needed to stay and finish his career here, but it is their choice when you graduate to choose to stay or move. I think he just wanted the opportunity to play in the Power 5 level and compete at that level. So I told Larry and the guys there, he'll play hard. He loves to chase the quarterback around. And based on what y'all do and with Coach Aranda, I mean, he'll definitely fit. Now, how he translates, I really don't know. With not having a spring and how things have gone and how quickly he can learn is going to be the key. But he is capable and was the best pass rusher in our league.
Well, and that is, if you don't mind, I'm not following up somewhat what's on that topic. The transfer portal, it can help you and it can hurt you. Is it out of control?
It is a little out of control. I think to some degree. I've tried to be as transparent here with our guys as I can. I have helped guys transfer. I have sit down with guys and actually physically helped them transfer if it was in their best interest. And I even talked to the team about it. The problem with the grad transfer thing is that there's still a lot of data we're waiting on. Has it really helped these guys? Has it benefited a guy and gotten him to the next level? Has it hurt him? And there's just not enough data to go. A guy transferring down to get on the field more, I get it. A quarterback that's in a two-man race that's not going to play, I get it. But when your starting all-conference guy leaves, that's not as easy a conversation. There's a lot of people counting on him, a lot of teammates counting on him. And, I don't wish anything bad for him at all. I mean, he felt like it's what he needed to do. But it is frustrating on this end to spend 4 years preparing a guy and then him leave. And then you just don't know it. Does it help him or does it actually make it harder for him to get to the next level? And we just don't have enough info to know.
People at Baylor are proud that Blake was there. Hubbard, Texas, of course, where he played his high school football. Blake Anderson with us. I appreciate Jerry Scott reaching out, and I know that we were scheduled to, or looked like we were going to have you on a couple of weeks ago, and our prayers out to you with the loss of your father. I know what the loss of my father and Craig's grandfather has meant to me. It's been like hard. It really still is today, very, very hard. So God bless you, Blake, and for the loss of your wife. We appreciate you for what you represent. A lot of people could learn from how you handled adversity.
I appreciate that. I'm just trying to make them both proud.
Thank you, Blake. Blake Anderson, head football coach at Arkansas State, with us on SicEm365 Radio. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Have you ever thought about how great it would feel a month or 6 months or a year from now if you weighed less and were in better shape and more fit than you are today? Think about that. Words can't explain the confidence I have because of what I've experienced and what I continue to experience every day at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. I promise if you join today, you'll thank me later. Offering a variety of different classes, over 40 of them every single week, including boot camp on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And there's free daycare. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7. Contact personal trainers Christy London or Randall Corley and let them make you feel better about yourself. Also, world-class tennis facility with Pro Britt Coleman and Director of Adult Tennis and Special Events Joe Rosa. A spacious, clean, and sanitized workout room, no intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an all-new atmosphere that will make you love doing burpees. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, well, you just heard me. Live radio. Sometimes we've been off the air and didn't realize it, and we were on the air.
Yeah. That was a weird day. That was a weird day. But look, I have good news. Backup computer's up and running, even though there's a little snafu today. New computer is here. It's in the box still, but I'm excited about that.
All right, let's see if you want me to take a call here.
No, God, no.
What? I promised the listenership that today we would take calls.
Yeah. We have also.
We're never going to take one.
No, we will. It just, I need someone else here with me when I'm testing all this stuff out, because when it happened today, there was several things that happened all at once, and we're here, we're fine, everything's working.
The phone rang earlier.
Yeah, I don't know who that was.
Why didn't you take it?
Because we were on the air.
Let me give the number. I'm going to give the number out. The number is...
You can't come on the air. I mean, you can call and I can talk to you on this nice little wireless phone.
254-339-1122.
Yeah, you want to talk to me on this phone
just
right here?
Call Paul and say hi. See if the phone rings.
It will ring.
Well, I actually did say the first 5 callers today because we were going to have calls today.
Yeah. And
yet another day, we're not going to have them. And so we're going to do that tomorrow.
I hope so.
No, we are. Larry Centers and Isaac Bruce. There we go. Paul, just say hi to a few people. I wish you could put them on speakerphone. Yeah, it's just, I hope. Isaac Bruce and also Larry Centers tomorrow. Larry Centers, it was neat.
Yeah.
Who is...
I can hear you. You're on the speakerphone.
Your mic's not on, bro.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear him? So, who is this?
Hey, Jack.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Jack. All right, this is a terrible way to take a phone call in the air, but at least we have a backup.
Hey, Jack, we appreciate it, though.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks so much,
Good
man.
buddy Jack, who does radio down in the Houston area.
We got the Woodlands tuned in.
Yeah,
so
he's
shout
a
out
very
there.
passionate listener. He does his own show. He does a lot. He promotes restaurants and things and culture.
Yeah.
He's really a dude.
I've got one note on the NBA. I don't know how many people care about injury news and things like that right now because, it's a very dysfunctional season at this point. But this was out earlier today. LaMarcus Aldridge of the Spurs will miss the rest of, air quotes, the season after having surgery on his right shoulder. This actually occurred about a month and a half ago. And he had been injured in February, but he had the surgery back in late April. So he will not be coming back to the Spurs, and they are one of the 22 that will be taking part in the regular season in Orlando.
Well, now they won't be one of the 22 who's playing for very long.
Now they're going to be like Portland and be like, yeah, we don't really want to, it's okay.
I don't think the Spurs ever would. And again, that's just not the vibe of their organization. But without LaMarcus Aldridge, I don't know, what's going to happen there. And
yeah,
they really need to. I'll be interested to see what happens when the Spurs get back into the lottery. Mm-hmm. Because they still have the same people running their organization. If you give them a high pick that they can go grab, it's probably going to be a good one. But, Yeah. And when I was down there was a lot of thought of like maybe it's time for Pop to retire and move on and run for office, whatever he wants to do. But
I think he's probably if he wants to. Some people would be really good at something, they just don't want to do it. It just doesn't interest them. But I could easily see him entering politics. I don't know how great he would be, but he's obviously got a lot of thoughts.
Hey,
some I agree with, some I don't. But
he's also 72 years old.
Right, so who knows?
I'm not sure did I bring up the Judd Thrash story earlier?
Yes, you
I
did.
did it with the high school when we mentioned Connolly and La Vega. Deontay Epps producing the show today and getting everything up through the social media. Amelia, who's taking team pictures to make us look better than we really do. Deontay, I think it's appropriate for you to give us an idea of just kind of being back. You were gone. You had every right to want to just kind of decompress after the last 7 or 10 days. Tomorrow, George Floyd, of course, his funeral. Today, the viewing. What's it like just to be back and your thoughts about just today?
Today's been great to get back with you guys. And like I said earlier, I appreciate y'all reaching out to me. It really means a lot. I've had a lot of friends reach out, honestly, about everything that's been going on to check on me and my family and stuff like that. But honestly, being back has been great. I honestly took a real life step back from not only here but social media as well. I might have retweeted a few things, but I wasn't on there constantly because I was getting upset, and it was very tough. But to be back sitting next to you guys and talking about sports and with sports coming back is just a great feeling because honestly, I think it was maybe Coach Anderson that said it, that sports is a healer in a lot of ways, and I just can't wait for sports to get rolling. So pretty soon that are coming up.
It's not so much that it's a distraction. It's just something else to kind of not forget about what's important, but it gives us something else. Because right now, that's been that's why the Last Dance and that's why the golf things were so huge.
People need, I think, just to be able to deal with life, they need something to kind of let the pressure loose a little bit, whether that's watching a basketball game or, doing whatever activity. So, certainly don't think that we're going to get sports back and then it's all just going to, hey, we're going to go back to the way we were in like fall of 2019 by any means. But I think we all just need that little bit of a relaxation every once in a while. So it's been great to have Deontay back. We had I thought Spencer Tillman was fantastic. I thought every guest we've had on, speaking on, their perspectives have been fantastic. Had great words to say. That was all last week as well. So, keep the conversation going, and every day we'll get a little bit more of actual sports back as well. So it's interesting and fun times. And as I mentioned much earlier in the show, 8 out of the 10 Big 12 teams, and that includes the Baylor Bears, will be sort of getting back to it a week from today. So we're getting closer, although, as Blake Anderson was saying, and he was fantastic too, there's a lot that we're still not quite certain about. I did see, Deontay, I'm totally with you on staying away from social media. I can only imagine from your perspective, because from my perspective even, it's just hard after the negativity and the hatred and everything else. But, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all works. And I had seen a report on COVID earlier today, some new development. now that we've found out that, much of our reaction was based off of people who didn't even know what they were talking about, which is insane to me. But now I saw a story today where apparently the transmission may not be for somebody who doesn't have symptoms, because there's apparently a lot of people walking around without symptoms. It's not as easily transferable from people who don't have or who don't know they have it but do have it and aren't showing symptoms. So there's just another little layer that maybe is coming off if that does in fact prove to be true. And we'll see. I'll take all the good news I can get, but that was another little piece of good news.
Yeah, that's great news. And then again, it's frustrating as hell.
Yeah, no, it makes you wonder, just all of the reaction and the way that it was slanted and the way that it was portrayed and things like that. Yeah, it does make you scratch your head a little bit.
By the way, that was Jack Wheeler. He goes, Smokey, I don't do my own show. Out of the Woodlands. Jack, sorry, I'm misidentified.
Now you are.
You can do it now, man. Jack, come on up with us. Be with Amelia and Deontay and Craig and Paul and Smokey. Hey. Thanks for the call.
By the way, do we have Heartland coming up? Is that or another day?
I'm not sure if that's today. I know it's on.
Okay, yeah. Just want to make sure.
It's about a couple of times during the week right after our show. Plus a lot of things that we had today, and my God, we might have had the busiest day ever. Deontay, am I right?
Yes, I remember
8, 9, 12,
my
13.
My head's been down typing so fast trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah, it's been nuts. I'll tell you, tomorrow we'll have Dylan will be back here with us in studio. Also, Luke and Leo Catalina will make their first appearances in studio.
Oh, nice.
Because I've got to watch them tomorrow because my sister is out of town with her husband and my mom has also got some things to do. So
they can play with Woodrow.
Yeah, they'll be fine. But Luke is very excited to watch the radio show be produced. The older one, 13.
Dear God, this could be a disaster.
Yeah, he's excited. He was very excited. He's like he wanted to make sure that he was still here when we started, and I have a feeling he might just stay here tomorrow night. But yeah.
All right, I'm going to try to remember the top of my head the guest list that we've had today. Don Hyde, La Vega football coach. Shane Anderson, Conley football coach.
And we are very
Gaither,
excited to be covering Kavion Gaither and Shane Anderson and the Connolly Cadets this upcoming football season.
Yep,
as we announced earlier today.
If anyone thought they were going to keep us from high school football, they have absolutely are. They have no clue. Now, also, Ishmael Johnson. Jackie Slater, Claude Humphrey, Blake